see what happens.
Yeah.
And I am live, apparently. Hi. Hello.
I just want to make this feel more inside.
I'm going to double check this on YouTube too, actually. Give me a sec.
We did also make it feel a little more outside
Uh-huh.
with new windows, new glass door here, and
This is the coolest thing
Dun,
ever.
dun, 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 dun.
so this
Oh, Jesus Christ.
luxury.
Jesus, tits my Christ. That was loud in my ear and it blew my eardrums. Oh my God.
This is amazing.
That was really loud. I hope my mic isn't that loud. Let me turn that down. Because good Lord, that was loud. That was so loud. Okay, so
Yeah,
That's so thoughtful. Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Seriously.
okay, so Malin eyebrows. Well, gee, thank you, Bianca. That's really quite nice of
I
you.
prefer like something shiny. And I like how simple and kind of understated it is.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Not so much. We haven't really said
That is fine. Okay, so everything is working.
We are ready to say
It would seem. All right,
and
awesome.
a better place. I hope it's a relief. Where
Let's,
God starts.
share on Twitter that I am live testing some stuff.
This house was great when y'all bought it at $115,000, and then we put that $70,000
Steam
in it.
my brother's laptop. There we go. There we go.
We could not have
There we go. There we go.
anything like this. So thank you so much.
There we go.
Well, it was
There
a
we
website
go.
before, but here's the color.
Ah,
Here's a little
want that.
welcome home gift.
Such a wonderful experience.
And if you don't mind.
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Can everybody hear me? I hope so. Hello, Underworld Dream and Bianca. How are you guys doing? Doing good? Everybody having a good day? I hope. Yeah, I'm just testing some stuff out. I'm borrowing my brother's laptop for this because in the future, probably sometime next week or whenever me and him decide that we want to do more auctions on England Stream, I will be borrowing his laptop for those because, I don't have one of my own currently. And many people know why. But yeah, hi, how are you? Tell me how the audio sounds. Tell me how everything sounds. Am I too loud? Am I too, whatever the case may be, I need to know.
Charlie and Melissa, new minister's family at Ellisville Presbyterian Church, and the church.
I don't really care about that right now. Put that away.
Ben's a preacher's kid.
So please, do tell. How are your days going?
How many kids?
Is there a topic I should discuss while I'm testing this stuff out? To Helium, hello.
We are close together.
How are you, man? Doing good?
Kind of forced to be that way.
Staying safe, staying awesome out there in Australia, I hope.
We knew that moving here we would need to do.
Look up not so long ago. Ah, well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? It's nearing evening for me. It's morning for you. Makes sense. Well, glad that you're having a good day and you've woken up to a wonderful, wonderful morning. I hope in the wonderful country of Australia. I hope that's the case. I don't really have a whole lot of topics or anything planned. I may invite some people. If anybody wants to hang out, they're welcome to join me. So long as they don't blow my eardrums out with their microphones. Because dear Lord knows mine did. Jesus Christ. Full blast volume. Man, that was funny. But I hope everything is working okay on the YouTube end as well, it would seem. It seems to be working okay. So, I appreciate that. So,
Living room is a bedroom. So you don't have a living room. Don't you love it?
itch. Don't you just hate when you have an itch? I do.
We'll get there. Yeah, we
But also, I don't know. I don't know what's up with my eyebrows.
Find a way to really incorporate their like personal style.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap about John Malin or his eyebrows for that matter.
There will be. Okay.
It's pretty much going to stay the same, but we want to make this a little bit easier.
So if people are coming in and saying, hi, why don't you hit the like button while you're here? Or hey, if you're new, subscribe. That would be great. Thank you.
You can really tackle a lot of people in that.
But anyway,
Perfect. Okay.
da-da-dum, da-da-dum, dum, 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 dum,
So we
dum.
have to delete
Oh.
a lot, okay? So delete the top countertops. Yeah. Delete the uppers. And now let's bring in colorful lower cabinet. New butcher block countertops.
Ah,
Number two,
okay.
is build new cabinetry that wraps around this window so you have a refrigerator enclosure. And then here is where it gets a little complicated.
So this becomes a
Hmm. So
Okay,
everything seems to work. That's awesome. So
and then you have a carport that's
let's see. What could we potentially talk about?
The
Hmm.
carport to the house, it's 300 extra square feet of living.
What about the laundry? The laundry room would have a door.
Stays where it is.
You think?
Yes.
Let me think. Oh, you know, I could
Okay.
grab some comic books actually. Give me a sec, guys. Give me a sec.
Okay.
As he gives the gift of home to a very special.
Hey, should I get Gundam markers? Are they any good? I can't push this chair any further back. Yes, they are. They're pretty good actually. If you don't want to do like a full paint job on a model kit, they work pretty well. If you pick the right colors, they're really good. You should especially get some if you want to do bare minimum panel lining on the kits. Like any of the Gundams that you have, I would recommend a gray Gundam marker for the white because it makes the outlines work really well. I would recommend like for, I think for the green ones or like any of the Xeon suits and whatnot, you have to use like maybe, what was it? Oh, I can't remember. In some instances, brown. I think for like red suits, you would use like a brown panel liner marker. And for, I think for the green ones, you use a different, you might use black, but I can't remember. I remember some people recommending what to use. You could just use a black panel line marker for all of them, but it doesn't always work the best. So that's kind of kind of iffy. But I recommend getting Gundam markers in general. Especially if you don't plan on painting the kits entirely, they're really, really good for just like doing small amounts of paint work on kits that just need, because if you don't want to use the stickers. which most people don't want to use the stickers because they're terrible. Anyway, I brought a couple comic books down here. Maybe we'll talk about some comic books for a bit because that'd be fun. Of course, you guys are welcome to tell me whatever topics you guys want me to talk about. That's also an option. But I recently got this. This is the 80th anniversary Robin comic book. I read this a couple weeks ago. This book is really good, by the way. I really liked this. I enjoyed, like, there's a story for each of the Robins in here, which is great. Like, we got a couple of them that were for Dick Grayson as he's getting older. Really good. You know, him kind of growing up and coming into his own. And then, of course, one with him as Nightwing, which is awesome. I like that one, too. Nightwing and also him with the Titans. That was pretty fun. That one was a fun story. Didn't really care much for his Agent 47 short story in here. I didn't care much for that. I liked that they had one for Jason Todd. Art-wise was not my favorite because the faces and whatnot are a little weird in some portions. It's a little odd, but it's not the worst. I like the story, you know. I kind of wish Jason Todd got a bit more. And Tim Drake had, what was it? He had 2, I think. Yeah, he had 2 stories. Both are pretty decent. Stephanie's was weird, but also adorable in its own way. Had a fun, cartoonish art style. I think, yeah, Damien had 2. Damien's first one was really good. I really liked that one because it had Jonathan in it. Second one, not my favorite story. It was, I don't know, there's something about it I didn't like. Mainly the art. Romano Villalobos. I don't know. I just don't like the way that this looks. That's just me. I don't like this art style very much. I mean, I could see it working in certain stories, but I don't know. Sometimes just the way it's drawn is off-putting, I guess. Story's not the worst, but not my favorite either. That was probably the weakest story out of all of them. But for the most part, the book was really solid. I really enjoyed this.
And then this becomes kind of a sleek, more streamlined.
Love the Tomasi. Which story was Tomasi's? That's my question. Nope. That was the first one was by Marv Wolfman. And then we have Chuck Dixon. Chuck Dixon. Devin Grayson.
Currently, but if we got rid of this add-on peninsula, we got rid of the carpet, really strip away the backsplash, get rid of these countertops.
And then Agent 47 was.
Like I just wanted to feel mid-century, this wanted to feel in the 60s. What if we made it feel like a modern take on?
Oh, this one does. I've not seen the names on that one. That's interesting. Oh wait, the Tim Seeley and Tom King were the writers on that. Interesting. Okay. And then the Jason Todd story was Judd Winnick. Pretty good.
Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby.
Boy, that was impressive. This is the soundtrack of this home.
We do love this.
Dun 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 dun.
Used to be Santa Claus in the Macy's parade.
When he's older.
One day.
Ah,
Gonna happen.
We can do it.
where is it?
Come see the living room though. Look.
Adam Beechan was on one of the Robin ones.
It's big.
James Tinian IV was on the other one.
I mean, it's
Okay.
all dated. Right.
Oh wait, let me guess. The Tomasi one must be
So what if we got rid of
um.
the carpet, the wallpaper, that paneling on the lower half there, paint this brick so it's a creamy white.
Yeah,
This is
Amy
really
Wolfram
space
was the writer for
yeah,
the Stephanie
and
story.
Right here. Wow.
So yeah, the kind of Batman and
Camera
or
down here.
Superboy and Robin must be James Tinian's.
Anything out here really, but I don't think you need to. You can just clean it. We
Is
love
it?
a good outdoor space.
You got 2,400.
It must be in here somewhere, but
Four bedrooms, two
it's
baths.
okay.
So plenty of room.
Oh, yeah, that would be the James Tinian. That would be the one with Superboy, my best friend. Yeah. This was a really good book. I really enjoyed getting like the 90s cover though, especially because that is my Robin. This is Tim Drake Robin. So awesome stuff. Good stories. Good little short stories. Wish I could get Robin back on a single title issue again. That'd be cool, but that's probably not going to happen. And it would end up being Damien because Tim is now Mallard, or what is it? No, Drake. He's now named after a duck. Come on. What the heck? What the hell? What the hell?
Now we're going to get to go inside of it.
Be a little nosy.
Yeah, sorry, I meant Tomasi. I didn't mean Tinian. Sorry.
You can walk around.
Got. I actually managed to read through all of the first volume on Comixology for Nick Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man, the first volume, first 5 issues. Oh my goodness gracious, dear me. This book is actually pretty darn good. Excuse me. I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the story quite a bit because, like I've mentioned kind of before in other people's streams, and I might have mentioned it here too, Nick Spencer's basically doing kind of his it seems like he's doing commentary on how people write Spider-Man, because you could go one of two ways. The Dan Slott method was to basically, it's a giant toy box, so I'm going to write whatever I want and do all the weird, silly, goofy things, all the fun stuff, but without a lot of the heart, a lot of the responsibility that is involved in being Spider-Man. And on young characters doesn't work for him. I agree. It depends on the character, I think, but for the most part, you're right. I think he does better when he's writing adult characters than he does writing kids. Probably because he spends a lot. I mean, I know he has adopted daughters, which, you know, that's great, but I don't know if he can really capture the voice of kids if he just doesn't seem to do it very well. Although he did do okay in the first issue of Young Justice. I read that. And I was like, he's doing all right. That was pretty good. I think that there are better writers who can write young heroes better than he can. Great way to make Tim Drake easy to find. And duck for target practice. God damn it. Please don't. I don't want to lose Tim. I already lost him before. So, well, not technically. New 52 didn't get rid of Tim. They just they shoved him with the Teen Titans and pretty much forgot he ever existed. With a really stupid costume to boot. Although I think the Mallard costume is far worse than his Teen Titan costume for the New 52. But back to Spider-Man, back to Amazing Spider-Man. This book, the one thing I will say about, in particular, Ryan Oatley's art, I wouldn't say it's my favorite art for Spider-Man, because sometimes some of the faces and whatnot just don't work for me, or they're weird. But it does give the show kind of, or give, not the show, the comic book a very animation style look to it, where it looks more like it's intended for a younger readership. So that's pretty good. It's bright, it's colorful, it's got just the right amount of emotion. There's just certain things where the detail just doesn't seem to work, or the faces sometimes look a little bit funky to me at times. But I disagree with the first issue of Young Justice by Bendis. At least we can do it peacefully. That's fine. I don't remember really what happened in issue 1, if I'm being honest. It was like I said, it wasn't an insult to me. I felt like he was at least trying to do something good with it, but I haven't read any more of the series after that. I remember when issue 1 first came out, a bunch of people were losing their minds over Wally West, or not Wally, the Kid Flash, which is, I think, Bart, and him making comments about Harry Potter and making, references. And it's like, it's a Flash, and a young one at that, and most of them, even Wally, used to do kind of fun reference stuff and whatnot. So I don't know. I thought people overreacted to that. I'm like, it's Bart. Yeah. Young Flashes tend to be mouthy and they tend to make funny, weird referential humor. So I'm not opposed to it. So
Color change is easy. Nutrice has 77 from our darkest blacks to our
let me see what else we got. I didn't bring any other books down, but the commentary that Nick Spencer did for this Spider-Man story, splitting both Peter and Spider-Man into two different people, was really, really interesting. I mean, it's goofy. Like, this is something that would have probably been done, like, what, Silver Age? Goofiness? Weird science experiment splits the two halves into two different entities. Hi, Eric. How are you? What are we talking about? I'm talking about Amazing Spider-Man by Nick Spencer right now. People forget that kids want to be grown-ups, so they act like what they think grown-ups act like. I remember kids saying stupid things they think is smart. Yeah, that makes sense. That does indeed make sense. But I like the commentary because it felt like him kind of taking kind of shots at Dan Slott and how he wrote the character. Because this one focuses more on responsibility of Spider-Man and the reason why the element of Peter Parker is so important to the character. So I appreciated that. I have bought a few more Nick Spencer Spider-Man issues. This is only one of the ones from the first volume that I have on me. But I have, like, I think issues 28, 29, and 30, and issue 33. So I'll probably be reading those relatively soon, hopefully. And because that's like, well, halfway through his run right now. So I will have to see how he's doing. What kind of books, or has the book gone down in quality? Has the writing changed? Anything of that nature? I don't know. So I'm going to find out. Anything is better than Dan Slott's Spider-Man. I will say that. Anything is better than Dan Slott's Spider-Man. Eric, do you want to hop on? I can send you an invite if you're free. Tehelium is welcome as well if he wants to. It's up to him. I do need to test to see if this will work out because this is more for the auction than for anything else.
Like flower beds built here, and have landscaping around it.
But
Legit. Creme de la creme.
I also, let me.
Some exterior walls for this new living room.
Da-da-da-da.
The outside element. So we've got to protect the house before we
Let's go.
open it up.
Copy that. Let's go to Twitter. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
It's a heavy window.
Make a big difference. Too. Look how
Where
tall
is
this window
Eric?
compared to this one?
Yeah, and these black windows will really pop with paint color.
Yeah.
On the outside.
Look at them little windows.
What?
Watch your fingers.
You know what? I'll just drop it on the England Team Group chat, and people can hop in if they want.
But it was.
It was planned.
It was planned, but it looks like it was planned.
Yeah.
Which is always the plan.
There. I think I have a chat group with Tehelium, so
Boy, it's a pretty old church.
I know.
Yeah, I just did, Eric.
I got a key to this door.
I sent it, so we're
This
good.
is the Turner's new church.
Dun
And
dun dun
kind
dun
of
dun
as
dun
like a
dun dun dun
rebuilding
dun
phase
dun.
of the life of this church. They told me that we are free to use whatever we find up there for the bands or the house. This is pretty standard for churches and the pastor's family. They
I know one thing that I saw earlier today that was kind of, or that I mentioned, is just people constantly bugging the comic book creators like Donny Cates on YouTube. I'm like, this is really mature. This will age really well. Oh, God. That bothers me. That just annoys me. You can't be at least somewhat civil and not start fights with people. What's the point? Okay, so
because she could put her supplies in here. Got 5 kids, you can lock them up. The supplies.
Yeah, not the kids. I like it, man. That's cool. Let's see if there's something else in here. Ooh. Check that out.
Oh, there's Eric. I see you, Eric. Hey, Eric.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Our kids, though.
There's your seating.
I want to build that.
So how are you doing?
I'm all right. Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.
Really cool because they're a preacher.
Although you can't go outside to hunt eggs.
Yeah, I took the garbage out. That was my going out.
Yeah, normally my going out when I'm not going to work is basically go outside to check the mail.
Yeah, I tell you, you don't realize. Yeah, I said you can be fine with sitting home until you don't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I normally don't have a choice. I have to go to work 4 times a week, so I don't have a choice. I have to go unless I'm not feeling well. But right now, it's like, well, I have to go to work. I am part of an essential commodity.
I said, yeah, I'm real good at just sitting around doing nothing if I don't have anything to do, but not having the option makes it, yeah.
It's terrible, right?
Yes.
It's like, I want to have the option to be lazy. I want the option. Just give me the option.
Absolutely.
The audio seems very different for me for some reason. I don't know why everybody is so much louder than I am.
Well, it might be talking. Yeah, I can hear what you're playing really loud. Whatever it is that in the background on you.
Oh, that's the TV.
Ah.
It could just be my headset. My headset is a pretty darn good headset, so maybe that's it. And it's just a really high setting or something. I don't know. I'll deal with it. I'll get used to it, basically. So we're talking. I talked about a couple comic books. What are your thoughts?
As it pertains to what, sir?
I don't know. Whatever comic book you want to talk about. Well, I mean, hold on. You may have missed this one, but I talked about this. Robin.
Oh, the 80th anniversary. Yeah, I read that.
I liked it. Go ahead.
I love the Wolfman story. The first story in there.
Yeah, first one with Dick Grayson was pretty good. Yeah.
And I like the Dixon story, but yeah, I've read a ton of comics since then, so I don't really remember that much more about it.
Yeah. Well, we ran through all of the people. Omnitron, which is better, rock and roll or heavy metal? I don't know. That's a tough call for me. Probably rock and roll because I don't really care much for heavy metal, but that's just my personal taste. But yeah, the Marv Wolfman story was. Let's see. So Marv Wolfman was one, and then Chuck Dixon. He did the Nightwing story. Devin Grayson did a Nightwing and the Titans story in here, which was a fun little story. Who was this?
Yeah, I remember there was a story. Yeah, it might have been the Damian Wayne story a writer I don't usually like all that much, and I really like the story, but I can't. Can you tell me who?
Which one was it? Was for Damien?
I think so.
Okay, so one of the Damien ones was by Peter J. Tomasi. It was called My Best Friend. That was the Super Son story.
Yeah, everything he writes is great, so it wouldn't.
And then there was I think it was the last one. It was Robbie Thompson and Romano Villalobos.
That wasn't bad.
That story was okay. I didn't quite understand. I can't remember what happened in it. It's basically like Batman and Robin saying, "We don't understand each other," for like most of the pages. I was like, it was okay, but it was, out of all of them, for me, it felt like it was kind of the weakest out of all of them, but that's just me. Maybe it's because I don't have that much of an affinity for Damien. Considering my first ever interactions with the character was, what was that? Was Batman Battle for the Cowl, where he stole the Batmobile and took it for a joyride with a girl. And then after that, next time I saw him was, I think, in the first issue of Red Robin, and he was insulting Tim, and then Tim basically tried to deck the kid, and I was like, this guy's an asshole. Beat the crap out of that little shit.
Well, there's no doubt that Tomasi's the first writer to really get him, perfectly.
Oh wait, who was Tomasi? Wasn't the one who wrote?
No. It's God, Adam Glass.
Let me see. Let me look this up real quick.
Okay.
Teen Titans. No. Teen Titans Rebirth. Who is the writer? Because that's what I want to know. Because he did a pretty good job too with the character. It actually made me like the character. Bob Haney. Oh wait, no, is that right?
No, Bob Haney was the writer in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah. First appearance. No, this is just a Teen Titans Wikipedia page. This does not help me. Well, gosh darn it. That doesn't help me at all. Maybe this DC Comics, going to their page might be a better option. There's the art written by Benjamin Percy. Yeah, Benjamin Percy. He did a really good job with the character too. I actually, Jesus, after reading, because for the longest time, aside from reading like the Batman and Robin story, like way back when, it was, I got to be okay with the character, but he was never my favorite. But Percy's run with Teen Titans and Tomasi doing Super Sons actually made the character a bit more endearing. So it's like, oh, finally, character development. He's not so much of a jerk.
Yeah, a lot of times it's easier for a writer to take a character's traits to its, the old Spinal Tap line. This one goes to 11.
Yeah.
And that's why so many writers just make him such an irredeemable little shit. and the really good writers can, see through that and, give, an otherwise unlikable character depth. And that's something, Tomasi's great at.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, Percy did a good job too, because it was It was Damien's, I guess it was 15th birthday or 16th birthday in the book. He was having a birthday, and both his grandfather and Bruce were trying to get him to join the side. And he's basically says, how about no to both and let me do my own thing? And then, getting all of the other Titan members involved, and then they get pissed off at him. And then he realizes, oh, well, maybe I am kind of a prick. And he was starting to grow on me, because throughout that series he started to grow up. He started to realize, hey, maybe I shouldn't be so arrogant about things. And him actually apologizing to the rest of the Titans. I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. but it was good. And then they kind of did a 180 when they did what was it called? It was Judas something. It's when it was a crossover between Titans, Teen Titans, and the Deathstroke comic.
Judas Contract?
It's not the
Or-
actual. It was. I forgot what it was called. It wasn't the original story. Was it called Judas Contract?
I don't know if they just if they just gave it the same name or not. Because I wasn't reading Teen Titans, so
Yeah. I was reading Titans and Teen Titans when Reaper started. And
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance really to read very much of Deathstroke, but when that crossover happened, I did manage to pick up that entire set. So, Lazarus Contract, that's what it was called.
Okay.
That one was pretty good. It was a good crossover between the three books. The only problem I had with it is that Damian kind of went back to being an asshole again by trying to nearly killing Wally West in the process. I'm like, oh God, why? I thought you had learned, Damian. Potentially killing someone is not the way. But apparently he hadn't fully learned that lesson. I can't remember who wrote that particular part of the story, though. So it depends on where that story ends. Because that was near the last issue.
Let's see if I can find that.
Because it could have been in the Deathstroke issue, too. But
Well, didn't Christopher Priest write all the Deathstrokes?
yeah, for Rebirth, yeah. He did a pretty good job from what I've been able to read of his work for that. I want to actually collect the rest of it so that I could actually read it. I never got the chance to because I was so busy reading Superman and Detective and all the other books I was reading, and I didn't have enough money for Deathstroke at the time. But I wouldn't have been opposed to reading it because I do agree. What Damian did is trying to... Yeah, he was trying to stop Slade, but trying to stop Slade is one thing. Potentially killing Ollie is another one, and basically having him have to wear a pacemaker. Batman versus Deathstroke by Christopher Priest was awesome. I bet it was.
I did read that.
I could guarantee that's amazing because Priest is a good writer. And, well, the problem is some writers tend to write Batman as if he is indestructible, and that becomes annoying after a while. Because basically it's like, even though him and Deathstroke are basically relatively on even footing, and their matches normally end either in a draw or one winning, it's kind of like a rubber band match in wrestling. It kind of goes back and forth between the two. Batman wins one. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say Abnett, Percy, and Priest wrote the Lazarus Contract.
Yeah, that would be right because Abnett was on Titans, Percy is Teen Titans, and Priest was on
Deathstroke.
I was just trying to remember who wrote the last issue, or if they all kind of shared writing credits in each book.
I'll
So
be back in a little bit.
bye, Mom.
Bye-bye.
Mom's gonna go for a walk.
Yep. It's a beautiful day.
It is. It's beautiful outside.
Not
Just make
here.
sure you don't go cloudy and not and miserable out there.
Raining.
Raining. Oh man, that's weird. Normally out here is where all the rain goes. This is the West Coast. A lot of rain normally most of the year, but we've had some really good weather the last week or so. I'm surprised. Although, well, what is it? It's mid-April.
Yeah.
Yeah, in April, normally it's raining a lot more, but all of a sudden we've had some pretty decent, clear, sunny days, which is awesome. Yeah, no, I'm thinking. Yeah, I think in the Lazarus Contract, they all shared writing duties, so they probably were all in the same boardroom together. That's why the story fit really well. They didn't really feel like they were disjointed when they all wrote the story.
No,
So they probably all agreed on everything, so...
Somewhere in the writers' room, they probably said, "Hey, let's make Damian an asshole again."
just for a bit, mainly because it's like he thought it was the only way to stop Slade. Which I mean, I get it, but it's like him nearly killing a teammate doesn't really make sense to me.
I agree. That was. seemed out of character for me, but I didn't get onto Rebirth right away, so I just kind of jumped on about a year before, or about 8 months before DiDio made the wonderful decision to turn the keys to the kingdom over to Bendis.
Oh boy, howdy, yes.
And I went back and read a lot of the stuff. I've read most of the Tomasi Superman and Jurgen's action, which makes me angrier at that decision. And
yeah, it made me pissed too.
Yeah, and it took out.
Why would you ruin something that was working?
Yeah, because you lost a great
when
buddy
it was
book,
working so well,
and you bring back two properties that used to be great, and you ruin both of those.
Which is the Legion, and
I'm not a fan of his Young Justice at all.
Okay,
yeah, comparing it to the so comparing it to the original one from the early 2000s with Peter David, it just I don't know. It just I don't know what little I've seen of it just seems sort of like an awkward teen sitcom.
Yeah, and I read the first issue because Comic Boom gave me a digital copy, and I read it. I thought it was okay, but it's a first issue. Everything can go downhill after issue 1, so I can't say anything to the rest.
Man of Steel was great for 5 issues, and then it's been all downhill ever since.
Yep, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like when you read issue 1, it's like, okay, maybe it's not my favorite thing in the world, but who knows? It might grow on me over time. But then it's like, no. Because to me, it was an okay story, or at least an okay start to a story. The characters were fine. I wasn't annoyed or aggravated by them, although some people, for some reason, really did not like the Kid Flash in that because he made a Harry Potter reference. I'm like, a Flash character making a joke or a reference.
I probably wouldn't have noticed.
Really? Yeah, I remembered people kind of going crazy over that, and I'm like, really? That you're gonna get upset about that of all things? I mean, I like the fact that they brought in a member of the Hex family. That was a cool idea. Bringing in Jonah Hex's granddaughter or great granddaughter? I can't remember.
It'd have to be a few generations.
Yeah, probably. Because Jonah's very old.
Yeah.
But I like that idea. That was pretty cool. It's like, hey, if you're going to make a new Young Justice team, why not, put new people in? I wouldn't mind that. You make me some new characters, either related to older characters. I mean, with the Hexes, I mean, who really, they don't really do anything with Jonah Hex as it is right now that I'm aware of.
But didn't they put like a 9 or 12-year-old teen Lantern in the book?
Yeah, that one is a bit weirder. I didn't dislike her, but I didn't understand how that worked or whatever. Of course, at this point, I think anybody can become a Green Lantern. Just
yeah.
And not because of their race or anything. It's just that hey, free Green Lantern rings. Take. It's like they give them out like candy. I'm like, okay, guys, not Earth doesn't need about 20 Green Lanterns. They need maybe about 4, at best. I mean, do other planets have this many Green Lanterns? I'd like to know.
Well, that's not something that should be handled by a kid.
Definitely not.
I mean,
Patrick Gleason's Teen Lantern. Which one was Patrick Gleason's Teen Lantern? Wait. Patrick Gleason.
I thought Gleason was gone by then.
I don't know. I thought he was too. Or did he? I can't remember who drew that book, actually. So it's hard to remember. Do we have to use the power of the internet?
Because I don't know. I thought he left about 8 or 9 months ago or maybe even longer ago to go to Marvel. I don't know when Teen Lantern was introduced. Teen
Lantern was introduced probably about 8 months ago, or maybe about a year ago. I can't remember. Hold on a second. I have that Young Justice book on my phone. Maybe I can
Okay.
bring it up and find out what people are talking about. Let's go to Comixology and go to my books and find out what's on here. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, yeah, there it is. Young Justice, #1. Patrick Gleason was the artist on it. And this was released in January 9th of 2019.
I didn't realize Teen Lantern had been around that long.
Yeah. It seems to be the case.
By the way, to
Gleason was off by issue 4? Yeah, that makes sense.
Tehillim said he'd come on if you want him to.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm sorry, Tehillim. Hold on a second. Let me find your DM and I will send you a link, my friend.
Yeah,
There he is.
Pretty
There
sure
he
we'll
is.
be
There he
talking
is.
to ourselves.
Are we sure we're talking to ourselves? I'm talking to myself all the time. There you go. There's the link. Gleason was off by issue 4. Yeah, probably. Nah, I mean, I don't know what he's doing. I know he was going to work for he's working with Marvel now, and he was working on Amazing Spider-Man. I have issue 33 where he's the artist on that, but I don't know if he's going to be the permanent artist on Spider-Man or if he's just a temporary, like a fill-in artist in between.
I thought he was going to rotate with Ryan Otley, but then I think I've only seen him do one issue.
Yeah, so far that's all I've seen too. It was issue 33.
Oh, okay. That might have been the second. I think he might have done something else, but it might have just been it might have been one of the stories in the 25th anniversary issue or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I am not positive. I'm not fully caught up with Amazing Spider-Man, unfortunately, so I do not know.
Yeah, I'm not reading it, so I'm
well, I actually am, so I'm reading it, so you don't have to.
Oh, thank you.
But what was it? Because actually, I was discussing the first story arc in this. I did like this. This felt kind of weird, goofy, something that would have happened either in the 90s animated series or a Silver Age Spider-Man comic where he was split into two. Split between his two identities. Kind of reminded me a bit like that Clark Kent or Superman story that was on the auction yesterday. What was it? A DC Comic Present book?
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that, but it's like the two characters' personalities are completely different. Oh, there's Tehillim.
Marv Wolfman did that in the 80s in Action Comics.
Hello, good day.
Hello, Tehillim. Can you turn your volume down a little? Possibly.
Certainly can.
I'd appreciate that. Anyway. I don't know what's going on with the sound, so it could just be I have such amazing headphones that they pick up so many loud noises.
Could be. Hey, we can say anything. We can say anything we want now because, I think we lost our audience.
Yeah, the only audience that's here is these gentlemen right here. But that's okay. I don't care. Even if chat dies.
Tehillim, it's nice to see you not in somewhere other than Ash's chat.
It wouldn't be the first time that I've been on Nightwolf's channel.
No.
But it is my first time, so I have arrived.
It's Tehillim's second time. But
the first time was when you had Tim Lim.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I blocked that video because of the failure.
Having technical difficulties.
By technical
happened on the
difficulties,
channel.
we mean- yeah, by spilling tea on a keyboard. Yeah, that's technical difficulties right there.
Yes.
Nightwolf, since I'm here, does that
Yeah.
mean I've graduated troll school and made it up?
You know what, Eric? Sure. Let's go with that. You've graduated troll school. You're now no longer a troll. I now acknowledge you as an actual human being. If that's what you want. No, I'm kidding.
You know, the trolling stuff kind of loses its luster once you actually know the people personally.
Yeah, I mean,
Even though it was all in fun the whole
Yeah.
time, but I said it was kind of like it had more impact when you didn't know me as anything other than words on a screen.
yeah.
I mean, now you know that I'm a jerk in real life. So
No, it's fine, man. It's fine. I don't tend to treat everybody that I meet online as if they're not people or a bot, unless they actually sound like a bot. Within which case, then I will treat them like a bot, because those do exist. But like, whenever I interact with people like on Twitter or anything else, even if I get into some sort of argument or fight with them, I'm trying my best not to be a dick to them. Even if they are trolling me. I try. Doesn't mean I succeed every time, but I do try.
If it's one thing that I do enjoy from yourself, Eric Breen, it's some of the comments that you leave on my videos, and especially when you say, "Don't let Jimmy see this." You know how we
it's funny to him. It's I found out about Nightwolf, I think, because he crossed over on one of Englantine's streams, so I started following his channel. Thing was, he did. Okay, who's got their thing on? I'm hearing an echo.
I am too. Talium, is that on your? Yeah, it is on his end. Yeah.
But if you can still hear me, But the problem was, Nightwolf's content was almost exclusively manga and anime, and I haven't done anything with those in years.
Yeah.
So
if you want to,
but I liked him, so I followed. I mean, I watched a 20-minute video of you assembling. You were making some kind of model kit, and you couldn't get one of the legs on right or something.
Oh, you watched the 20-minute? That must have been like 20 minutes of the only building live stream I ever did on YouTube. But yeah, I did that. The figure is upstairs in my room.
That's why I started asking the sports ball questions, because I couldn't talk the talk.
Yeah, you can't really interact with anything if you don't know what's going on.
Nope.
But that's okay. I don't mind it. That's why I don't know. I guess I'm kind of a black sheep in that regard when it comes to most of the people who talk with Englantine, is that my hobbies extend to so many other parts of nerd fandom that I'm all over the place. Like, what was the last 2 streams I did? Playing Persona 5. Playing video games or talking about anime and manga.
That's like with me, when back when the world existed, when I'm not doing comic book related stuff, I'm into sports, and just that's where I diverge from those guys.
Yeah, I used to be a big into sports too, but that I wouldn't say I grew out of it, but I kind of got bored of it, so I haven't really gone back. My mom is a sports fan. She loves watching baseball and football every single year, which is probably sad now because she can't watch baseball. But aside from that, I mean, I used, like, what was it, like 90s to probably early 2000s. I watched sports. I watched football. I watched Jordan play basketball. Watch hockey, all sorts of stuff. I just don't do that very much anymore. I diverted more of my time and energy. Wow, that thing is still happening? Talium, what's happening on your end, man?
Might be the sensitivity of the mic.
It could be. Do you have headphones in?
No, I don't.
That could be
Mainly
a problem.
speakers, but
Yeah, that could be why, actually, we're hearing the echo. Do you have headphones?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, that sucks.
Not any that I think would work on the system. So
Oh, okay.
unless I can find some somewhere, but don't know where until
That's okay.
places are open up to which I might be able to find it.
Right. But you're telling me you
At least
don't
they're
have a
sucking
central
the mess
source?
together.
Yep.
The headphone store isn't essential.
Apparently not. Nope. But yeah, that's okay. Dehelium can mute himself in between until he has something he wishes to say. That works too. So that everybody doesn't lose their minds while watching. So that works.
Works.
Works for me. So let's see. But yeah, I mean, the one thing that I have noticed in more recent months and whatnot, it's like, there's all this weird, but also sometimes incredibly stupid things that happen in comic books. It happens everywhere. Even my anime and manga is not safe anymore from outrage and really, really bad takes at this point.
Yeah, I never imagined anything like this when I was, reading comics 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Same.
unfortunately, the same thing that allows what we're doing right now is the reason why there's so much of that nonsense out there.
Yeah.
Because everybody is just a link away or a tweet away or, and because you could write an angry letter to the editor if you didn't like something in a comic book, but the people on the receiving end, they had bosses that wouldn't tolerate well, you're a Nazi.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could in the old days you could rip a Marvel comic to shreds, and they'd be very polite in their response, and it's like we're sorry, we'll try to do better.
Yeah. They used to have that kind of standard, but I guess nowadays, well, I mean, let's be honest, people are just more sensitive and volatile now than they ever were in the past. So,
yeah.
And it happens on both sides. It doesn't happen on just one side. It can happen on any side, to be quite honest with you. This is why I prefer to be a neutral party in all of this and just like, okay, everybody, let's all calm down and talk about what actually matters, which is, this.
Oh, no, I agree. I mean, I see, both sides doing, a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
The only difference I see is, like I said, I don't hear, well, I mean, granted, there's not a whole lot of, comic pros on the right, but I don't hear them, trashing people simply for who they vote for with no other criteria to base that opinion on.
Right.
And so I said, that's the part that, it's the kind of, it makes me realize that, it seems like all comic pros are the same at their core.
Yeah.
Whether they're on the right or on the left, they do, so it seems like they all engage in, way too much pettiness. Yeah.
Pretty much. That's kind of how I feel about it whenever they do it. And I'm at the point now, even the artists or writers that I do like, if I see them tweet about that kind of stuff on social media and whatnot, I'm going to be just like, you know what? Just don't care. I've become indifferent. I've become so indifferent to a lot of it that I'm like I mentioned, what was the last video I did? It's like lesser of two evils. It's like, who do I want to hate? The answer is neither party, technically. But if I've said it like multiple times on Twitter, it's like, if I wanted to be verbally berated by people, I would rather be verbally berated by Marvel and DC instead of whatever the hell the Comicsgate crowd is doing or whatever the hell the other side wants to be called. I would rather be verbally berated by the people who write my favorite characters.
I'm not a big fan of when, like when Donny Cates called everybody that criticized the New Warriors, this
Yeah.
and that and the other. And then he comes back the next day and said, "Oh no, to my friends in the LGBTQ community." I said, true equality should mean we should be able to, rip anything.
Yeah.
And, but like I said, when you're, but I mean, I know why, God, who was it that put this? One of the reasons why the SJWs always get their way is because companies figure that people like me will just shrug it off and buy the product anyway. But, they will boycott at the drop of a hat. So again, if we appease them, we'll get both. And that doesn't necessarily work because you run the risk of alienating me, and those people don't buy things anyway. So that's why I can't understand why so many in the industry just will shun everybody else, to
appease a small crowd that probably won't buy their books anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I said, so at some point I said, and they paint with such broad brushes. Just because I don't like snowflake and safe space doesn't mean I'm a racist. Doesn't mean I'm a homophobe. Doesn't mean I'm this. Doesn't mean I'm sexist. Doesn't it doesn't mean I'm misogynist. But it's such a easy catch-all, and the media plays along because that's the narrative they're crafting. So that's kind of disheartening when you see people with talent that it's one thing if it's a hack, who cares? But if it's like Donnie Cates, it's like you
kind of disappoints.
Or Scott Snyder when he kind of did it a little bit.
But the one thing when thinking about those types of creators and whatnot, I think, well, it's not really I can't know what they're thinking when they tweet immediately. And considering that I've reacted similarly to how other people have behaved in the same fashion, just on opposite sides, I could think that they may be, like pretty much everybody else, they react too quickly and they do paint with a broad brush. I've done that. I know I have. And I think it's just kind of one of those things where Twitter is like a drug in a lot of ways. It's an addiction, and the feeling or the need to respond is really powerful. So that's not to say that those creators shouldn't be called out for being jerks, obviously, because that doesn't help. But
by the way, we have an audience. While we have one, Elijah, can we get you anything to drink? Snacks?
Hi, Elijah. How are you? I know you're probably only just stopping by briefly. Hi, how are you? Welcome to the stream. Thank you for coming by while I test this laptop. That is not mine, so I have to be extra careful.
By the way, was your brother? I mean, I know he would have much rather the X23 had sold, but was he happy with how his stuff did, or?
For the most part, he was okay with it. Though I did get a message from Maverick, and he cannot buy the what was it? The Factor or not Factor? Factor Force. I can't remember what it was called. It was that West Coast Avenger read title book.
Oh, ForceWorks.
ForceWorks, yeah. He can't afford it apparently, so those will have to go back in auction, it would seem. Eclectic, hello. I am doing fine, and everybody else in the panel is doing okay, as far as I know. Telium's being really quiet right now because there's echo. Say hi to Helium.
Good to see you.
There you go.
Good to see you both.
I'm gonna go grab a drink. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
So, Talium, what are you doing?
Just been going through some of my email just to get it out of the bloody way.
I tend to ignore
waiting
most of my
for
emails
my
'cause it's all spam.
LCS to contact me so I can work on my next lot of trades that will be sent out just to help support them in this time period.
Yeah. I'll probably have to do that again too for, well, it's not my local LCS, but it is an LCS in my state, so I'll probably have to help them out again too. Because they're the only one I know of with an online store right now.
I probably know of about 3 or 4 just within Australia alone that I like to purchase things through.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to sort of like get stuff from there and support them and
Yeah.
providing
That's
that
good.
they're not interfered with in relation to what's happening at the moment, whether this thing be real or imagined. This threat
Real or
imagined.
Yeah.
Takes to have some wisdom here, even in a time like this.
Yep. But yeah. Let's see. What else is there? Da, 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 da. Oh, speaking of Donny Cates, I was reading his run on Venom earlier, a few days ago. Hello, Krenez. How are you doing, man?
Hey,
Good to
Chris.
see you. Welcome to the live stream, where I am testing things. Hope you're having a great day, man.
This is one you can watch without going broke.
True. There's no money required. This is all free. Although donations are appreciated.
Have you cracked 1,000 yet?
Not even close. Well, I'm close, but not that. It'll be a while. Let me see. Probably go to the main page real quick and let me find out. My wallet thanks you. I know. We're at 923 people. So we're getting there.
Yeah, I'm only 908 away.
It'll get there.
I mean, Tehillim stepped on my head about a month ago.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'm still around the 100 mark, slowly building up, but
yeah.
Somebody subbed to me yesterday, and I just like, why? I have 3 minutes or 3 videos totaling 7 minutes.
Yep. They like you that much.
If they subscribe, maybe I won't make more.
Maybe that's the plan. Let's get him to 1,000 subs so he never does any videos. But yeah, I was actually reading part of Donny Cates' Venom story, actually. The first volume, and it's pretty good.
Oh, what was it? I ended up picking up Cates's Carnage, Total Carnage, the trade paperback.
I haven't gotten to that.
And I wanted to follow the story because it's got like a character that's sort of like been around in Marvel for a while, and it's a younger character. And I thought I wouldn't mind following this story just to see if I want to continue it more. Then there's another one that's sort of like connected after this event, which is called The Good Son.
Yeah.
And of course, even though we're in this present thing at the moment, it would have been really nice to get that too in trade paperback just to see it all the way through too.
Yeah.
I think there were meant to be 6 issues to that as well.
Hi. Fish Stick 12. The new Pro. Okay. Hi. How are you? We're talking about comic books. Welcome to the stream.
All right. All right, some graphic novels I was planning on getting through my LCS.
Yeah, sure.
The Flash Rebirth, volume 6, 7, and 8 by Joshua Williamson. One of them actually covers the Flash War.
Yeah.
With an appearance of Damian Wayne in it.
Interesting.
That nobody else had. It was rare that anybody had furniture in stock. You could get it.
Anything else?
I might need to drop back into info. There we go. There we go.
Let's see. Let me think.
Some manga, some Devilman Grimoire. And volume 2 of Peter David's Young Justice.
Ooh, nice.
Good pull.
Then arranged for the following week to be sent out. The last 2 volumes of the Peter David Young Justice by 3 volumes by Joshua Williamson. Because just trying to work it in a way so I'm not spending a lot each week, but still able to support the store. And
gotta ration it out.
Later on, work on getting the Scott Snyder Justice League trade paperbacks with the great art by Jorge Jimenez. If I'm going to get it for anything, I might as well just get it for that.
Yeah.
Because I heard the story sort of stupid. So,
That's pretty cool.
Work on getting the Deathstroke versus Batman by Christopher Priest. That was actually done in one run. For about, I think it was 6 issues.
Yeah, I think
it
was Deathstroke 30 through 35.
It was just direct on Deathstroke run. In the Deathstroke Rebirth run. Along with getting the Terminus Agenda. Now, they're both hardcovers, that's the only thing.
Oh.
So, it won't kill me from getting it, because I'd prefer to get them in trade paperback, but seeing that they were only available in hard, that's my next option.
Yeah.
Might cost a little bit extra, but at least it still supports the store at the same time.
Yeah.
And I can always bring them back in, sort of like after these events, after these things sort of like come into trade paperback and get them that way. Sort of like exchange it over one for the other.
Yeah.
So, Nightwolf, I know you've seen this, but this is the sum total of my comic purchase or additions the last couple weeks.
Yeah. You won that in a bet, correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, my real life friend that's been into comics as long as I have, when this first started, he was talking about how he was going to. There was a show in Louisville in a couple weeks, and I said that ain't happening. And he said, "Oh, sure it will." He goes, "I said, you want to bet?" He goes, "Yeah, we'll bet a meal." And obviously it was canceled like the next day, and then he knows that money's real tight for me right now. So he goes, "How about if I just I'm going to order this, and I've got to order you one." And then he lost his job. But he paid it off, and that's he didn't have to, like I said. But
yeah, I need to look up something myself, actually. Nope, that's not what I was. Let's see.
That's some X-Men related stuff that I wanted to get on my graphic novel collection graphic
Yeah.
novel list to collect. Prisoner X. These are sort of like some of the stuff previous to what we've got now. Next Gen, Extremists. Was there one more? No, I think that was all.
There's what? I'm looking at X-Men books right now. Guess I need to find something.
Order your favorite Papa Murphy's pizzas online from any of our
Really?
stores.
Huh, that's weird. Did I miss it? I type in X-Men and I'm not finding it. I'm looking on the most local of my shops, which is Things from Another World. Trying to look for Jonathan Hickman's X-Men,
K2 is on your side getting answers from the Oregon Employment Department.
but I'm not seeing very many in the store shop. Maybe they sold them all.
When they're
I don't
trying
know.
to file their claims. Well, now they're wondering
They did,
if
darn.
they need to start over. How a computer
Because I've read the first 4 issues and I want to read more.
On K2 News at 6. Italy is down
Also got a whole long list of manga titles I want to collect as well.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
And if I were to say anything here, I've probably got more manga to read through than what I do normal trades. So that shows a lot of where I'm mostly invested.
Yeah. Right now, I just have a massive, huge stack of comic books from all of the auctions that I need to read. And I'm wasting time here instead of reading.
We tend to do that a lot.
Yeah, we do. But since my brother offered this computer, I thought I'd test it out.
I just tweeted out that we were on.
Oh, thank you. Hold on a sec. I'm going to be right back.
All right.
All right.
Well, since he didn't turn his camera off, I'm glad he's at least wearing pants.
Usually helps.
So I saw your live stream. How come you don't? What do you do different on that you don't get the echo?
Not much different than what I do here, but sometimes I'm muting it so the others can talk as well. And then when I need to interject, I can interject and get things back on track again. But it's been nice covering the Super Sons on the Super Sons Fortress of Attitude live stream.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to watch that, actually, unfortunately. I keep forgetting. Of course, I get DMs and messages from people all the time, so I'm like, if you inundated me with it too much, I'm probably just going to forget it exists.
There just isn't time to watch everything you want to in this, our little neck of the woods.
Yeah, this week
we're multiple hours worth.
This week we're covering the first volume of the Super Sons.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to that. Before that, we covered the Son of Superman, then Trial of the Super Son, or Trials of the Super Son, those trades. And this week we're beginning Super Sons Volume 1, When I Grow Up. So looking forward to doing that and covering that. We'll see how things go after that. Maybe work on covering some more backstory in relation to, say, Damien's character. which
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing because even though, yes, at the moment it's sort of like leading to both of them, we still need to get information, say, about Damien's past. Even though they're
Yeah.
going to learn through also the Super Sons story, it
Right.
won't hurt to go back to, say, more back issues.
Yeah.
With Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason covering the character too. So
Yeah. Wouldn't be bad.
It's just unfortunately we don't have any more.
Sadly, yes.
yeah, the last of the Super Sons related stuff was the Adventures of the Super Sons, and what was in the 80th
I don't
issue,
remember.
or the 80th of the Robin
Robin, yeah.
by Tomasi.
That's yeah.
Fantastic story. Absolutely loved it.
You know that behind the scenes, Tomasi has to be seething over Bendis doing what he did.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, that was arguably the most fun title DC published.
Yeah. And that was one I never really got to read either.
Yeah, I didn't notice it at first. Like when I started reading a bunch of new DC titles, I just saw two little kids on the cover, and I hadn't really read a bunch of the Superman yet. But once I started reading, his Superman, I said, "Yeah, I want to give this a try," and loved it.
Yeah. Okay. Right now, I'm just looking at Spider-Man books right now. But
What era?
I'm looking at Nick Spencer's run. I'm gonna be trying my best to collect it because after reading the first volume, it's actually a lot better than I was expecting. I did like that through most of the first volume. They're trying to. It seemed like they're trying to like plan things out for a foreseeable future. Peter getting back with MJ, him saying, "I feel like something is missing." Like, I know that's a shot at One More Day. Don't toy with me like that. I know that's what you're doing. Even
there's no way they get back together. Get remarried, I mean.
If they don't get remarried, you know what? I could maybe live with that, at least to some extent. So long as they're together, I'm okay with that for now. I don't know. Their marriage was tumultuous already, so I don't know. But I want them back together that way, but I don't expect it to happen. It's editorial mandate because the editors, like I mentioned on the last stream before the auction, the problems with the major companies it starts at the top. Whatever the editors and whatever the management says, okay, this is what we're doing, and you can't say no. You have to work with what we tell you to work with. And they don't really have a choice in the matter.
Well, yeah, which is kind of sad because I give Joe Quesada an immense amount of credit.
Yeah.
For giving us whether you personally like the stories or not, House of M, Civil War, Secret Invasion, Dark Reign, Siege. Then in while that was going, you had Planet Hulk, you had the Cosmic Odyssey that Abnett Landing were doing with you. So I mean, Marvel.
He did good things.
From 2005 to like 2010, Marvel was cooking on all cylinders with one noticeable exception. Spider-Man, because Quesada didn't understand the character. I don't think anybody there did, because they just have it's like they read the first paragraph of the Wikipedia, and read that the old Parker Luck, and think that translates into, oh, he's a loser. No, he's always had to overcome problems because despite his best efforts, but he wasn't ineffective. In fact, I said, I mean, I've been reading this stuff for 45 years, and he has earned the respect of every other character in the Marvel universe
Yeah.
But then, they do the one more day thing, and then Bendis turns them into the team mascot of the Avengers,
Yeah.
and just absolutely, just did so much damage to the character that even though, I hear good things about Spencer's run, but it's still, it's still not. I mean, if you want to know what Spider-Man, who he really is, go read the stuff from the 60s through the 80s.
Yeah.
And very few people have gotten it right in the in the 21st century. But I said, and that's unfortunate because I said, there's so much good Spider-Man stuff out there. Unfortunately now it for me anyway, it's all in the rearview mirror.
Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong. Anything of the older Spider-Man, I'm going to prefer over whatever they're doing with modern Spider-Man. Like I said with Nick Spencer stuff, I appreciate the effort to not only have a better understanding of the character, fundamentally, because he seems to have a better grasp on him than Dan did. Even with the Parker luck or the whole loser aspect thing. But I mean, Spider-Man being kind of like persecuted either as Spider-Man or as Peter Parker, it's happened before. The whole part of the story with the fraudulent what was it? The copying of Doc Ock's work. I was like, well, you know what? That was probably going to happen at some point. I mean, imagine if it was Otto who was still in the driver's seat and they discovered that. Otto would have ended up in the same boat because he's in Peter Parker's body, not in his own.
Yeah.
Good luck getting out of that.
And that's another thing I said with the modern writers. Now I realize that every story that's been told through the years, you can't remember. No one can remember them all.
Yeah.
But I've read several stories where Boomerang is trying to kill Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'd be a little leery about accepting him as a roommate, but I guarantee you Nick Spencer's never read any of those stories. I don't know about you, but if I'd ever tried to kill you, are you going to invite me to share an apartment?
Probably not.
No. And like I said, how many times has Doc Ock tried to well, I said that one Spider-Man annual where he tries to kill the entire circulation of the Daily Bugle by poisoning the ink as it goes to press. It kind I said, did he just? I mean, did he say, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. My bad." Kind of a mulligan on that. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the Superior Spider-Man story, that was never going to work. No matter, it would have worked better if, all of a sudden, wait, Spider-Man is evil all of a sudden? What's going on with that? If they did that instead of Ock trying to be a hero or playing one, it's like, if you would have done the whole, hey, Spider-Man is actually more evil now than he's ever been before. He's now like leading the Sinister Six and things of that nature. Then I would be like, okay, I see what you're doing. That could work as a short story or short story arc. But they tried to redeem him, and redeeming a villain is not always an easy task. It depends on who the villain is and what they've done in their history.
Absolutely. I said, now I don't know how many people, Dr. Octopus has actually killed
officially,
or versus how many he's attempted to. Because like I said, that one annual is,
attempted murder.
Yeah, that's and I don't know if the Superior Spider-Man ever addressed any of those.
I can't remember. I only ever watched videos on it. I never bothered to read it. I probably never will because I hated the concept that much.
I think I lasted 2 issues and then I pretty much gave up on Marvel altogether by then.
Yeah. I mean, I was, what would I say? I could tolerate one more day's existence. Superior Spider-Man, I cannot tolerate on any level. I hated the editorial mandate of the removal of the marriage, but the damage is done at that point. But putting Ock in Spider's body, Man's body, and keeping him there for a year. No, that's
Well, it could be worse.
Could
make it Mephisto in his body.
true. Well, no, that might be more poetic and funny.
Yes.
I would have been just really be more hilarious. Because then at least we know Mephisto isn't trying to be the good guy.
I'm trying to grow our audience by one.
Isn't England team turning up?
Where is he?
Oh, he's on the air right now with the Extreme Movie Show.
Oh, cool. Actually, this is what I grabbed. X-Men #1. And I recently started reading through the X-Men stories. And I know a lot of people are not liking this story very much. The one thing I did notice, though, you know how we always talk about them writing for trades and whatnot? I'm noticing that Hickman's not doing it with this. The first 4 issues are not connected at all. There's underlying subplot, but he's actually writing short individual stories for each issue. This one's more or less establishing what's going on Krakoa and them fighting some, what was it? I can't remember what their name is. There's some sort of evil, like a group of Sentinel makers, I guess, of some sort, and them terminating them, or getting rid of them in some form or another, or fighting them, which is not a bad story. One thing I can't remember. Issue 2 was Scott, Cable, and what is her name now? What's the daughter's name now? I forgot.
Rachel?
Yeah, well, I know her name. I forgot her name.
Her. I'm not reading it, so I don't know.
Prestige, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds familiar. I think I heard somebody say that.
But Rachel and Cable, and then basically having like a family outing on another island where they fight some sort of monster or something. And it actually turns out that the monster I guess it's based in some form of magic that has some connection to the X-Men. It's like some sort of child that has some sort of weird connection to this island. And it's interesting stuff, but every single issue is its own self-contained story. Probably plotting things out for the future more so than anything else. But for the first 4 issues, they're not directly connected to one another like it's a big long plot, which I appreciate that, because then that means that would be pretty decent jumping on point. People could just grab an issue and try it out, see if they like it. I know a lot of people don't like the X-Men being treated the way they are right now. But I do think it is significantly better than making them sterile and trying to murder all of them. I'll take that. I'll take that over.
Did that happen in an X book?
That happened years ago during X-Men versus Inhuman.
Oh, okay, so I said I've been gone for a lot of years from now. I've heard mixed reviews about the Hickman's X-Men and and some of the side books that are in less talented hands, shall we say?
Yeah.
Now I think a lot of the stuff that Marvel does right now would be easier to take, and I've railed on this ad nauseum. If Marvel would just come out and say, this Marvel universe started with all new, all different. Everything that happened before that didn't happen. It's a new universe where we have all of our swapped out characters, this, and this. So because like I said, my biggest the problem I have with any of the books at Marvel right now is I've been around too long.
Yeah.
The first X-Men I bought off the rack was number 100.
Yeah.
And that was sometime in 1976. So I read all of the Claremont Burn and all of Claremont, as they aired, so to speak. And the same thing with Spider-Man. I mean, I've been reading Spider-Man since 156.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've got too much to compare the stuff now. But younger readers that aren't bogged down by 45 years of
continuity.
Yeah. It's a lot easier for them to take. I said, I look at the X-Men book and said, this X-Men story, if it were like an Elseworlds, because What If doesn't really count because that's taking a story that already happened and altering it. If you could borrow the DC term, if this was like an Elseworld story, it's probably pretty good because or you could say, or if you want to call it a what if the X-Men were actually villains?
Yeah.
But the way it's presented, it's like, it's 2020 and they're writing this book like it's 1957 because I said where everybody just, fears and hates everything that isn't them. Yeah. And I think we've come past that as a society.
Yeah.
It's just that, some people aren't willing to acknowledge that. And, thinking that makes for a better story, it really doesn't.
Yeah, I can understand that. The thing I noticed while reading through Hickman's X-Men, considering how Marvel has treated them over the last probably less than 10 years, it is trying to establish them as a different type of group than they were previously. Not as heroes, at least not entirely, but more or less, I don't know, kind of like how they kind of established certain other groups in the Marvel universe, like the what is it? They're always connected to the X-Men. The Shi'ar Empire?
Yeah.
And things of that nature, like the Shi'ar Empire or the Skrull or the Kree or the Inhumans, trying to make it more like it's a society and not a group of heroes fighting people or fighting evil versions. Because all mutants are in the story. Like, let's see, in this one, they have not only the standard X-Men team, Cyclops, Storm, and the others, but also like Magneto's in here. That's working with them. Professor X is in the books, working together. Even Apocalypse shows up in issue 2.
Yeah,
working together with everybody.
And that's the thing. All of the X films, and I give Magneto a pass. I mean, he's gone back and forth, and
yeah,
but like whether it's Apocalypse or Mastermind or the Blob, or I've never been as big an X-Men fan as I am like Avengers and Fantastic Four. So yeah. I can't rattle off a bunch of villains, but the good guy X-Men, are now more closely aligned with them than they are people they've worked together with for years because those people are human. And so it's like, if you are a mutant, we like you. If you're not, we tolerate you at best, outwardly are hostile to you at worst.
Yeah.
There's a word for that. It starts with an R. and ends with ist.
Yeah.
And and so why is it acceptable for them? And the standard argument is always, well, they've been persecuted through all the years. Well, for one thing, most people don't know they exist. So it's like, so and like I said, that and the heroes have proven themselves to be heroes. You're not going to say, well, these folks have been help saving the world for 12 years, like if you use the sliding time scale, but they're mutants, so we still hate them. It's just hard to swallow at this point.
Yeah, not to be but hating them doesn't make any sense. I agree with that. Being afraid of them, that still could make sense. I mean, the government tried to regulate standard metahumans too, like the Avengers and whatnot.
Yeah, Civil
During
War. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and basically the mutants are like, we've been here, we've done that before. No thanks, we'll pass on being involved.
And that was good writing. That for them to
because it's like we dealt with the Mutant Registration Act. We don't want to deal with this. And I think only a couple of X-Men actually ever got involved in that, which is probably like Cable, Bishop, and maybe a couple others. Because they were, Cable and Bishop are time travelers, so they kind of know things. So that yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but no, I still have problem with I said that Professor X, who it's not he's trying to take Reed Richards' son away from him,
right?
In the miniseries, they were in the Illuminati together,
mm-hmm.
which was honestly kind of a stupid concept because there were so many plot holes that created. Why didn't they come together the first time Galactus came to Earth? Where were they during the Kree Skrull War? Where were they, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
But all that aside, if you were close enough to, have that, but now all of a sudden, because we want to be our own sovereign nation, we're just gonna, we agreed. Well, Xavier said he wasn't. Xavier didn't end up getting blamed for that. But I mean, all the decisions they made together, I find it hard to believe that Xavier would go against one of the other members to try to take his son simply because he's a mutant. I mean, I said it's just. Yeah. It's there's some tough pills to swallow in these storylines.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's my favorite X-Men stories right at this moment. What I would say is I find it interesting. I've been intrigued by it, but I think that's also because of I come from like you mentioned, Eric. I do read a lot of manga. I read a lot of anime or watch a lot of anime. And one of my favorite series that I've talked on, Teen Stream and on others is, I've talked about the Gundam series, and what the Gundam series has always leaned on, at least the original stories, was basically analogies for like World War II and dictatorships and things of that nature, because the main group of villains are basically dictators trying to overthrow the Earth government. And while all of those people, or while the main group of them, like the leadership and the commanding officers, are, for the most part, pretty terrible people, at least in some cases, there are some that aren't entirely evil, like the commander, who's kind of the main, like, rival or antagonist, he was part of, he's the son of the former, I guess you could say, kind of not really a sovereign, but political leader. And his main objective and goal was to get close enough to this rival family that killed his father so that he could get rid of them and kill them off, because it's like, hey, you took my family away, I'm going to make you pay for it. So it gives him a more sympathetic bent to him. Like in like the first early episodes, he has this friend who's the youngest son of the family by the name of Garma, and sure, he plays buddy with him. He's like, yeah, we're friends, we're all good, we're all friends. It's like, don't worry, I got your back, I'll cover you. You can take on the white base and the Gundam. I'll hang back and I'll let you grab that glory. And he lets him grab it, all right, the glory of being shot down. And basically he's like, I'm sorry, but I guess I betrayed you. Or he's like, I'm sorry, but this had to happen. And he's like, you are betraying me? And he's like, don't blame me, blame your heritage. And the other thing watching other shows of that nature, turns out that the Earth government isn't much better. They have their villains too. There's several series where they show them as just as ruthless and cold-blooded as the other side is that, well, I mean, granted, you know, like, what was it? The thing that started the war was dropping a giant colony from space to Earth on Australia. I'm sorry to Helium for your loss. But I mean, just to destroy that colony, they through learning through other parts of the history of the story is they gassed the colony. Bad guys gassed the colony and then sent it on trajectory to Earth. So they killed everybody on inside and then launched it to try and kill more people. It's like, well, that's horrible. That is terrible. That is the worst type of human atrocities you could ever possibly imagine in science fiction. And yeah, well, the Earth Federation has done its fair share of that too by attacking a Xeon Earth-based refugee camp in Africa and razing it to the ground with all their firepower. And those Xeon soldiers had no defense. They were just refugees. They were stuck on Earth. They didn't have any weapons really to defend themselves. Earth Federation's like, you know what? Let's just have some target practice.
This sounds pretty interesting. I should check this out. Hey, by the way, our audience has grown again.
Hey,
so
Jeremy.
I said, Jerry, thanks again, brother.
Hey, Jeremy. How are you?
That's my friend that bought me the
How you doing, Helium?
I'm good.
Did you have anything to add?
No, just looking for what's available.
Give me 1 second.
For my LCS, providing it's still available.
Yeah, I was kind of doing that for a while too. I'll have to look again. How do I share screen? Oh, screen share. Here we go.
Residents scan codes on their phones. Officials use technology to track people's movements and check body temperatures. They detect heat in a crowd. How long do you think this kind of lifestyle you got there move on will continue?
That's the one that, you know, Vidya and I talk about and we wonder about.
Chrome tab?
Because at this point, we really are just looking forward to the day.
I see. Okay. Okay. So here we are. Since I'm interesting Eric in Gundam, so I'm going to share it on screen. Talium.
Oh, some Gundam.
Well, not only that, but have you read anything of Hickman's X-Men?
No, I haven't actually. So
okay. I was just curious. Just my curiosity. Bum, 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 bum. I appreciate the increase in the audience. So you're trying to find something else to buy?
And Officer Andrew Ocelli holding a concert he called Music for Hope from an empty room over Milan. The performance his voice filling the void across images. This wounded earth pulsing hard.
But for those who don't know, yeah, this is the original Mobile Suit Gundam. Oh no, not advertisements. Go away. Ads everywhere. Go away. Nobody wants you here.
Eliquis is proven to treat and help prevent DVT or PE blood clot. Almost 98% of patients on Eliquis didn't experience an event, and Eliquis has significantly less major bleeding than the standard treatment. Eliquis is FDA approved and has both.
Don't stop Eliquis unless your doctor tells you to. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve or abdominal bleeding. If you had a spinal injection on Eliquis, call your doctor right away if you have tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. While taking Eliquis,
So,
take longer than usual for bleeding to stop. Seek immediate medical care for sudden signs of bleeding.
find anything interesting?
Eliquis may increase your bleeding risk if you take certain medicine. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures.
What's around the corner to your mind? Ask your doctor.
Anything not Brian Michael Bendis?
True. That is preferred.
We've got a question for the audience. From the audience,
What's that?
are you guys into manga or just anime?
Both? I like both.
I enjoy manga, anime, comics, trades.
Everything under the sun.
Long walks on the beach.
Yeah. I live near beaches. So, yeah.
Any
kinda
physical
mandatory.
distancing.
Physical distancing. So, you're okay with social distancing then? We don't go outside.
It's a bad choice of word that they use for that, social distancing.
Yeah.
Social
That is-
distancing sort of indicates that you don't socialize with others.
Yeah.
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 Bad choice of words.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I didn't make use for anybody until I was forbidden to see anybody.
I understand that feeling.
Ever read My the Psychic Girl?
Have I ever read what? My the Psychic Girl. I've never heard of that before.
Ooh. Extra
Timothy
good
has-
Punch Man.
Has a good point. Most of the time, you'll have to read the manga to get the full story. Yeah. Because sometimes you miss things.
That might be good for...
Oh, I was right. I thought that was from the 80s.
Gundam? Yeah.
No, the psychic girl thing that Jerry was talking about. Timothy confirmed, said, "Whoa, 80s."
Yeah. Yeah, I've never heard of it before. I mean, this right here is probably my oldest anime I've ever watched. Except for maybe Astro Boy.
Good old Astro Boy.
Yep. Because this came out in 1979.
Dang.
It's old. It kind of shows in the poster. Let's see. But, oh, that's not what I wanted. How dare you? Just give me random Wikipedia sites. Kinda. Siri. Because this goes for a long time. I think they're at their 35th anniversary. That's how long Gundam's been around.
Now, are there still elements today that go back to the beginning?
Yes. What? Hey, Tahilium.
Yeah.
Mute yourself for a brief second. Thank you. Over time, it's hard to explain while I hear myself explain it. The Gundam franchise started in 1979, and it's been going ever since. They have a main timeline, kind of like how we have, main timelines for comic books. That most of the fans, they refer to it as the Universal Century timeline, and that has so many series. Wait. Here, timelines. Maybe that'll tell me where I want to be. Oh nope, that just takes me to a time traveling and fan fiction. That doesn't help me. Calendar years. I wish the timeline was here. But okay, here we go. Here's all the shows. First show from 1979, and then they did a sequel called Zeta Gundam in 1985, which is probably, out of the older shows, my favorite one, because it got a bit more darker and a bit more, well, not just darker, but there was some, the emotion was cranked up even more than the first one was, because this show deals with actual character deaths, and because this is a war, this is actual warfare, so people don't get to live and come back from it. Once you're dead, you're dead.
What a novel concept.
I know. Then they had Double Zeta Gundam, which is the black sheep of the first three series. It's a bit more goofy and ridiculous in its first half, and then it decides to go back to being serious partway through. I haven't watched through all of it, but I watched the first 10 episodes, and it's weird and goofy. Although I will say that I preferred the main protagonist in it a bit more than in Zeta, because he's more of a fun guy. He's kind of like a troublemaker, and he's just far more entertaining than the main protagonist in Zeta was, because in Zeta, he's just mopey and complains a lot.
So I take you've seen the vast majority of all of the Gundams that have been released?
Yes, I can go through. Like I said, I haven't finished watching through Double Zeta. I only watched the first few episodes. This was a movie called Char's Counterattack. I watched that back in the early 2000s on Toonami. Long time ago. What is this? Mobile Suit Gundam or Mobile Suit SD Gundam. Never watched that. That's something I don't think has ever been released stateside. I've watched this. I own it on DVD. Called 0080 War in the Pocket. It was in 1989. That's a 6-episode series. And that one, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it right now.
Cool.
That one's a tearjerker of a short story, and I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorites, but even though it's short, it's got a lot of heart and emotion into it, and it makes me cry every time the ending happens. I'm not gonna say why, but they did a movie called Gundam F91. It's in the same time period. It's just several 30 years. It says it right here on the thing. 30 years after Char's counterattack, and 27 years later, after the publishing of Gundam Unicorn. Okay. We got Stardust Memory. That one takes place between the original Mobile Suit Gundam and Zeta Gundam. So that was kind of like a fill-in. Then there's Victory. A lot of people that I've heard from, I haven't watched this one, but from what I understand of what people have told me, the original creator of the series, Yoshiyuki Tomino, got really depressed and really upset because the license was sold to Bandai, the Japanese toy company. And I think not long after that, he actually left the company for a while. And but since he was so upset by these decisions, this story, a lot of people die. From what I've understood, this one has a higher death count than any other show when it comes to characters that you actually see on screen and get to know. So apparently he went really dark and depressing with it. Also, with probably one of the youngest protagonists that they'd ever had, because Uso is, I think he's like 13 years old. So he is a very young boy being thrust into warfare.
Okay, we've got an interested party. Don't know anything about Gundam. Should I start with the comic or the movie?
There are not a whole lot of comic books for the series, because the series started off as a TV show, not as a manga. So the main source is normally the TV shows and not the mangas. Although you can get the mangas. Hold on a second, since I'm sharing my screen. Hold on a second. I can recommend a manga that's based on the original. Let's see. Mobile Suit Gundam. Origin. Manga. Which is, I actually read the manga. Or I reviewed the first volume of the manga on the channel somewhere. But I could actually go upstairs and probably grab this, but I'm lazy and I don't want to. Maybe I'll grab it anyway because I'm having so much fun right now. But this is called Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin. It basically retells the original story of the 1 Year War conflict, or the first conflict. Does it have any of the interior art? It does not show the interior art. Well, that's just fantastic. Thank you. That doesn't help me at all. Give me a sec. I'll be right back.
All right.
I can go and get it because I have volume 1.
Anything to add to him?
Not a lot.
What's your favorite manga or anime?
Oh gosh, how far back would you have to travel? I guess when younger, it would have been the Astro Boy, especially the anime. But as I got older, probably stuff like Ninja Scroll. Then there was a Street Fighter 2 animated movie, which was quite good. They did do an animated series, which was, I think, in its own way, sort of like a different universe, or was like an offshoot of the universe. Like, present manga I've been enjoying right now. Definitely Blue Exorcist.
I'm back.
Not familiar with that.
I like the idea of it. It's sort of like set in a world to people become exorcists to exorcise demons. Very clever.
That means there are more than 1,500 cases and 52 deaths from COVID-19. In Washington State, the death toll is now more than 10,000, and the total number of cases has surpassed 10,000. We're learning nearly half.
There's the first volume.
We're nursing home residents. According to the
If you want to see what the art looks like.
More than 170 cases have come from 9 long-term.
Wait, hold on. There's got to. I'll find a good page here. Better page than that one. Da 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 do da do da. Actually, wait. Because they do have some color pages too, which are pretty nice. Da, 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 da.
It wasn't your typical Easter Sunday. Instead, loved ones gathered for video chats or watched services online.
Ah.
Live in Northeast Portland tonight. And Megan, so how are churches adapting?
That's a good picture of the main enemy suits. Oh yeah, here it is.
Just a few weeks ago, Trinity at Faithful was back up and running for Easter. It quickly became clear celebrating in the usual way wouldn't be an option.
The art is really good in this.
Yeah, it looks good.
Mostly in black and white,
Still, hundreds watched online, participating in
but I like it. And it's mostly retelling the events of the first few chapters or the first few episodes of the show. Oh, here we go.
It's strangely enough, it's weird to see manga in color.
I know. Normally the only thing that they normally have in color is like the covers for the graphic novels. They don't normally have pages colored. But this one's not on standard newsprint like most mangas are. This is in kind of like more higher quality paper. I don't know what kind of quality paper you would call this, but it's kind of almost like what you would see in probably a modern comic or a modern Western comic, paper quality wise.
They used to call it Baxter paper back in the day, but
yeah,
I
something.
don't know what they call it now.
Yeah, but there's the guy I was mentioning, the rival or antagonist, a man in a mask by the name of Char. Not his real name, but you know it's the name he goes by. But yeah, you can get this they run about $20 per volume. I don't know how many volumes there are because this goes through all of the series that I'm aware of. There is an anime also called Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin, but it does not pertain to this. That series, which I think is like 12 episodes, or they had like a few movies. That basically is prequels before the events of this story actually happen. It's like Char's rise to what happened to him. How do I get back to this sharing screen? Can I get back to that? Am I sharing my screen or am I not? I don't know. You getting all this, Jerry? I hope so. Let me stop sharing the screen. Maybe that'll help. And then I will go. But I've watched through most of those shows. Let me see, where was I? Here's one. This is one that a lot of the friends that I know really like. This one from 1994 called Mobile Fighter G Gundam. Basically, if you know anything about like tournament type fighting animes or mangas, like most people know what Dragon Ball Z is and whatnot. It's basically kind of like that, but with giant robots. It was a pretty big departure because the series was trying to really focus on, for the longest time, focused on actual like real world conflict, or futuristic conflict. They called it the genre a real robot genre. So this show had very more realistic, I wouldn't say actual realistic, but they really tried to make it very grounded into like, hey, this could be a potential future for humanity. This show completely ignores that for the most part and just like, hey, you like crazy, like over the top martial arts fighting and giant robots beating the ever living tar out of each other. Here you go. It's pretty funny to watch. It's also racially insensitive on top of it, because they basically split up instead of like in order to solve conflict in the world, the idea is to have a tournament where all of these future versions of every single country bring a giant robot to bring a Gundam to the fights and try to win. And whichever country wins the big prize, they get to control the entire government until the next tournament. They get to make all the legislative decisions. And so there's a lot of very stereotypical and really, really poorly designed robots that are very insensitive. Although one of my friends that's been on the channel before really, really loves what he is called it's called the Neo Mexico Gundam. Everybody normally affectionately refers to it as the Tequila Gundam, because it looks exactly what you might think it might look like of a Japanese person's idea of a Mexican person. It's dressed like a Mexican, like the sombrero and the poncho, and yeah.
a giant robot and a sombrero and a poncho.
Yes. Wait, hold on. Maybe I can find images of them. Hold on a second. Because there are some really funny and ridiculous G Gundam mobile suits. There we go. Some of them are really good, but some of them are utterly ridiculous design-wise. Let's see. Like these right here are kind of like the main ones. If people can see them, I don't know. We've got what is referred to as the God Gundam, which is from Japan. Gundam Maxter, who's from the USA. And he is USA to the nines. He's got 6-shooter pistols, boxing gloves, and is basically wearing football shoulder pads. If you couldn't tell. He is very American.
Well, it's not on the screen.
It's not on the screen?
No.
Oh darn it. Hold on. Okay, maybe if I go to share screen and we try something. Yeah, I know. I'm going way too deep into this, aren't I, Jeremy? I'm sorry. When you get me started on this, I can go for a while.
Oh, I just saw something news related here that during this time period of supposed crisis, that governments are planning on stop funding universities. It might help them to get their butts in the gear once things are back in action again. And not to lean towards one political side over another, because it causes division.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Might help them get their head out of their asses, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Can you see it now, Eric?
Yeah.
This is the American representative.
Not sure why a giant robot needs shoulder pads, but
well, especially not football shoulder pads. And here we have France representative called the Gundam Rose. He looks pretty French, French military. The Gundam from China, John Bull Gundam. I don't even remember. That must be from What flag is that underneath him? I can't tell. What else? Who else is there? Lumber Gundam from Canada, of course. Tajim Gundam Maganta. Migrate. I want to find the Tequila Gundam because it's hilarious. Gundam Spiegel from Germany. Pharaoh Gundam. Can you guess where he's from?
Sorry, I was blowing my nose. What'd you say?
I said Pharaoh Gundam. Can you guess where he's from?
I probably should be able to, but no.
Well, think about it. Where do pharaohs normally come from?
Oh, Pharaoh. Okay, Egypt.
Yeah.
I thought you said Pharaoh.
No, I didn't say Pharaoh. I meant
because
Pharaoh.
they're small on the screen, so I mean they're hard to. Yeah.
I wonder, can I increase that size? Hold on a second. Maybe I can. Did that help? Not really.
Nope.
Not nearly as well as I was hoping. Let's see. Oh, there he is. Oh, it is. Yeah, it's named the Tequila Gundam. There it is. This gentleman right here. Not really with a poncho, but, cactus on the side, wearing a sombrero.
Okay, we still have the same screen we had before.
Oh, God damn it. Son of a monkey's uncle. I hate when that happens. I need to switch all the screens all the time. Yeah, maybe that'll help. Maybe now we can see the screens better. I'm gonna hop on the other side and find out so I can see it myself. It's kind of small even on my end, to be honest.
What makes this one so different? So it has to do with the genetic makeup of this particular.
But
So those coronaviruses.
yep, those are some interesting ones. Oh yeah. Some of these were pretty funny. Nether Gundam from the Netherlands. He's a windmill.
I was going to ask, is that a windmill?
Yep. Mermaid Gundam. I can't remember what flag that is, but yeah, it's basically a giant fish. Keep in mind that a lot of these suits don't last more than a couple of episodes, or like maybe one.
Is that Corkscrew Gundam?
Corkscrew Gundam. Let's see. This one we have the Matador Gundam. I think that's Spain. Viking Gundam. Medela Gundam. I don't know what that's supposed to be. It looks weird. And the Zebra Gundam from You can take a guess. Representing Africa.
See now, I said the second one. I said that looks like the cork of a wine bottle. It's like a corkscrew.
Yeah, it does kind of. This is Nepal. I recognize the flag. That's Nepal.
Pharaoh.
That's
Gundam.
their. Yes, Pharaoh.
Pharaoh Gundam would be from Tasmania.
Oh, Pharaoh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would be cool. I'd be okay with that. That'd be interesting. But yeah, that's kind of. The show was really weird, and like I said, slightly offensive and not. Not really. Definitely would not be something that you would see the Japanese making today.
Hey, Tevya, you missed us talking about the Super Sons. So
yeah,
we segued over into manga and anime, and
yep,
I'm just listening.
He's being attentive listener and learning. I guess. Right now, I'm just kind of just going over all the shows I watched with him because you asked me kind of like how many shows I've watched. So.
Oh yeah, I'm interested in this. I said it's all new to me. So it's
yeah. This is actually the show that got me started watching the series, which was a series called Gundam Wing.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, because it was on Toonami. in the early 2000s. This was what introduced most of the Western audiences to Gundam, at least ones that were from my generation. This is what started it. It's a pretty good show. It is in an alternate timeline, just like the previous one, the G Gundam. These are all kind of set in their own worlds. They have their own things going on. They're not connected to the main universe at all. They just kind of exist in their own thing. Allows Sunrise to experiment and try different things with the property. Let's see. Oh my gosh, yes. This one is pretty much my all-time favorite of the series that I've ever seen, called Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS Team. They took, you know, kind of like ground soldiers or like the unknown soldiers that you kind of hear about, or well, not really hear about, but don't hear much about.
Okay.
The main series shows a lot about like war heroes, like the ones who actually help win the war. This one is more or less about a team of Federation soldiers on Earth, where a good portion of the conflict happens in space, at least the major conflicts that end the war. But this was a short OVA series where you have a young commanding officer leading a team with experimental Gundams. They're basically like ground soldiers. Most of it involves a lot of kind of like smaller conflicts, but the story is amazing. It is kind of like a Romeo and Juliet. It has a Romeo and Juliet story kind of going on with it, because the main character meets with a female enemy pilot, and they kind of fall in love with each other, but all the while they have to contend with the fact that they have to fight each other, even though on both sides there are potentially good people who mean no harm and are just following orders, which was really good. It also discussed things like insubordination and other assorted topics that are normally in warfare. So, like court-martialing, insubordination. But this one was really good, and I really love this. This was the one that I can't recommend highly enough, because I really loved it. Also, I really liked it because in a lot of the other shows over time, the robots start to become more driven towards kind of like fantasy element, where not only are the robots themselves really powerful and crazy, but they also the pilots themselves have kind of like their own special superpowers, I guess you could say. They call it being a new type, saying that humans evolved in space so that they now have precognitive abilities, like they can see things before they happen. And they feel the intentions of other enemies or enemy pilots. But this show does not do that. It's just purely ground soldiers, normal people in the middle of a conflict and a war. So that one's one I really loved. I have not watched this one at all. After War, Gundam X is one from the alternate series that I've never seen before. What the heck was that? Did someone crush a water bottle?
Oh, no, I reached into a bag.
Oh, what did you reach for?
A cough drop.
Ah. Ah.
Well, you do have good headphones.
I do. I can hear everything.
No doubt.
Yep. This, we got the Gundam Wing Endless Waltz movie. This is the sequel to the main Gundam Wing show. It was a decent movie. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. Gundam Wing for me, I like it, but mainly only out of nostalgia. There's a lot of it that's not quite my favorite things that has ever been made. Hey, look, and then we have Turn A Gundam. That's a show I've not watched before. This was actually the main creator coming back, actually. This was Tomino returning to the franchise for, I think, their 20th anniversary, I think, or is 1999. Yeah, probably around their 20th anniversay or something of that nature. He came back and he did this show. I can't even tell you if it fits in any timeline whatsoever. But a lot of my friends really have highly recommended it. So once I have an opportunity to watch it, I'm gonna watch it. I never really liked it, mainly because the robot looks really bizarre. You could see him on screen, kind of. He's got like this weird mustache thing going on his face.
It looked more like almost like horns growing out of his or under his nose.
Yeah. For me, I always kind of just looked at it like a mustache.
Well, I'm always seeing it in a very tiny image. So
yeah. You could probably go with like tusks or horns, or you could call it a mustache. I always called it a mustache because that's what it kind of looks like. Because it's supposed to look humanoid in nature, so it's like, okay, humanoid looking. Humans don't normally grow tusks or horns normally, so I'm gonna go with mustache.
Any opinion on SD Gundam?
SD Gundam? Which SD Gundam?
You're up again, Tevya. I have no idea.
Any opinion on SD Gundam? There's been a few different SD Gundam series over the years. I've not watched very much of it. If he's talking about the one that they did share in, or that did come stateside, because one of them did end up coming out in the States that was aired on Cartoon Network. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was called SD Gundam Force or something. I watched that. It was really weird. Because we're talking about taking the really cool, awesome giant robots and turning them into cute, adorable versions of themselves and having them fight other cute, adorable versions of themselves.
Chibi Gundam?
Yeah, Chibi Gundam, basically. That's.
Did you like that I knew a term?
Bravo. Good job, Eric. You get a cookie. I agree. It is a really cute thing. I'm not going to knock any of them because they are adorable. I've considered buying some of the model kits for some of them. They're cute. They're fun. They're harmless. They don't do anything to ruin my enjoyment of the Gundam franchise. So I don't mind. What do we got here? And the live action movie that no one wants to talk about.
I was just going to ask you if there's ever been any live action.
Yes, once. And then after that, Bandai said, we will probably never do this again. Bandai and Sunrise were like, maybe we should not do that for a while. G-Savior came out in 2000. The CG is dated as hell. It was also on a low budget. And the movie is not very good, actor-wise either, because it was filmed in Canada. And not filmed well, I guess. I've never really watched it. All I know is that nobody really talks about it. Bandai pretends it doesn't exist for the most part. They don't acknowledge it. We are getting another live-action Gundam movie in the future that Lionsgate is working on. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping it's good, but we haven't gotten a trailer yet or any other announcements of like directors or anything of that nature currently. We have no director that I'm aware. Oh wait, maybe we have a producer. We have the writer. I haven't heard of the directors, and I haven't heard of any casting yet. So I don't know when the movie is supposed to come out or when we're going to see more information about it. Maybe there has been more information. I haven't caught up with it. The writer for the screenplay is the guy who wrote Y: The Last Man.
Oh, the comic?
Yeah.
Brian K. Vaughan?
Brian K. Vaughan is the writer for
Wow.
script writer. So, and I've heard good things about his writing, so, or at least people highly recommend Y: The Last Man. So,
A lot of people like Saga.
Saga. He writes Saga too. I didn't know that.
He actually he also wrote the first volume of Runaways.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So that means he's a pretty talented writer. So long as he has enough knowledge of this franchise and whatnot, he could do a really good job. I don't know what they're gonna do with it yet. So I haven't seen anything. The only other form of live action Gundam that anybody has seen is from Ready Player One for like one brief fight scene. Did you watch that movie?
I did not.
No. I didn't watch it either, but I did see the clip. I think it was like Mechagodzilla and the original Gundam made a cameo appearance in the movie. Gundam Neo Experience 0087 Green Diver. I have no idea what that is, and there seems to be no information I can link to. That does not help. Gundam Evolve, I don't know what that is either. That's stuff I don't know. Oh wait, maybe this is what I was thinking of. Superior Defense. Yep, this is it. This is the SD Gundam show I remembered watching way back when as a kid. This is it. SD Gundam Force. Small picture, but as probably people can tell, the robots are cute and adorable, chibi-ized versions of themselves. It was silly and goofy, although I do remember the one thing I remember from the show the most was that the enemy grunt suits, the Zakus, all they ever really did was they walked around and go Zaku, Zaku. They just did that like on repeat. It's kind of like the droids from the prequel trilogy where they go Roger, Roger, which is kind of funny in its own way. And basically those Zakus were treated basically like cannon fodder and just basically abused by everybody. Just like the droids were in like the Clone Wars, which is always fun. Oh boy. Talking about Gundam shows that I would prefer people to probably avoid. Here's one. I cannot recommend Mobile Suit Gundam Seed. I can't. It's not the worst, but it is definitely not the best. I had a lot of issues watching this. There were so many. I've done tangents and rants about it so many times. I'd rather not repeat them over and over again. This one is, it had a sequel that's going to probably be further down this list. The main one is average at best, but I cannot tolerate the main protagonist to save my life. He cries way too much, and he annoys me. To no end. You know how people dislike Mary Sue type characters?
Yeah.
He's one. He is probably the first Mary Sue in fiction I'd ever learned about. Or in his case, a Gary Stu or whatever you want to call it. Both him and his main love interest are pretty much on par with both being Mary Sue type characters that are insufferable in a war drama to watch, because he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. It's like, okay, then stop piloting the giant robot and killing your friends or people who you don't want to kill. But he also has this penchant and habit of saying, like, to try and end the fighting without destroying people. But it's like, well, I hate to tell you this, Kira, but the enemies are not as sympathetic as you are. So they will kill you. So stop letting them live. I've never seen a Gundam protagonist be so apprehensive about killing other people. Especially ones that try to kill you first. I mean, it's like you're defending yourself. You have your legal rights, man. It's kill or be killed. This is war. And it's a lot of philosophical politics about war is bad and don't, we shouldn't be fighting. And I'm like, well, yeah, war is horrible, but normally in order to end the conflict, there has to be a winner. So I can't really recommend that one. Oh, I already did that. Superior Defense Force.
Till, you still awake?
Is he? Or did he leave?
I'm still here. Just working in connection with my LCS right now.
Continue to work.
I'll be getting sent out soon.
Hello, Maranya. How goes the laptop test? It's going quite well, actually. We've been going for 2.5 hours, and I haven't ran into any problems. I think he passed out. No, he's here. He's fine. He's fine. Right now, I'm just educating Eric on Gundam. That's what I'm doing.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. So how are you, Maranya? Are you doing okay? Having a good day? Along with Tevia? I mean, I did start talking about comic books, and then we moved on to other things.
Get outside, walk, bike, run, do something in the fresh air. And finally, be mindful.
But I do need water.
Again, sounds rather cliche. And what I mean by being mindful is
Yeah, I was, for the most part, I was just kind of just talking like, here's what I have watched, here's what I haven't watched. Wait.
take a moment just to have your mind be offline for a couple
And right now,
before launching
MS
into
Igloo. I have not watched that one.
that you may be experiencing.
That's a CGI OVA. I've never watched it before. Have to run, gentlemen. Have a great night. Well, you too, Jeremy. If you ever want to know more about Gundam, let me know. I'm sorry. I probably overwhelm people when I talk about it. But I just watched the first series. If you don't mind old animation, it's a great show to watch. Just watch it. And if it's your cup of tea, it's your cup of tea.
If you are having a tough time right now, there are people who can help and they want to help.
So what else is there to discuss? I did my review of Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge on my channel. Oh yeah, I think I saw you link me to it. I'm normally busy and I'm doing other things, so I tend to forget what's on my Twitter timeline. I mean, I got 3 comic books from what is their names? Hold on a second.
They also found a person's need to connect is as fundamental as our need to eat. Well, how big of a problem are false negatives when it comes to the coronavirus?
I think that they're the people who do Changeling. Take care, Jerry. Stay safe. Yeah, I think they shared 3 comic books with me. I talked about Timothy Lim's Common America, and they're like, wait, you review comics? I'm like, well, yeah, I do. I review comics, I review anime, I review manga, I play games, I do whatever the heck I want. This is a variety channel, and I will do whatever I please. Because I don't really care about subscriber counts or anything like that. I just want to sit and have fun, enjoy my hobbies, talk to people. That's what I want to do. I'm enjoying a ham dinner here, and I wanted to come support you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, stay hydrated, and if you get them, eat oranges. Yes, plenty of oranges. Eric's back. I think.
I am.
Okay, cool. Samurai's talking about ham dinner. Delicious. I like it. I wish I could have a ham dinner right now, but I can't. But what do we got going on here? Nope. Speaking of shows I have watched and that I recommend people avoid like the plague when it comes to Gundam. Gundam Seed Destiny. Its sequel. only got worse as time progresses. One of its biggest issues is recap episodes. Ba-bum. Crap.
Please go to mowp.org/donate.
I thought Tehillium turned his mic back on or something. What the?
So do you have a second favorite after Gundam? I mean,
Like for animes?
Yeah, or manga. I mean, I say a particular like story that
franchise-wise, let me think. I do really like Robotech, but would I say that that's like my second favorite franchise to read? Or oh, I know. Hold on a second. I'll find it. This is probably my second favorite anime that is not Gundam related. Both the manga and the anime I loved a lot. Hold on a second. Let me stop sharing the Gundam screen, and then I can show everybody. Basically, any opinions on Castlevania? If you're talking about season 3, I haven't watched it yet. As for seasons 1 and 2, I've watched them. They are really, really good. They are badass. That's how you do video game stuff correctly. Trigun. Here we go.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, this is probably my second favorite manga and anime series. Actually, it's pretty much my first that doesn't include Gundam, because I'm at the point where I put Gundam kind of on its own pedestal, separated from everything else. And then on the side, all the other mangas and animes that I really enjoy and whatnot are kind of like in their own corner, doing their own thing. But Trigun is probably my all-time favorite, because I like the sci-fi Western thing that has going on. And I like the protagonist because he's voiced by one of my favorite actors from my childhood, and which would be Johnny Young Bosch, who used to be in Power Rangers. He played Vash the Stampede, which was awesome. He's a great voice actor to me. He's played some of my favorite characters. He's played as Vash the Stampede and a character by the name of Lelouch from a series called Code Geass, which also has giant robots. And he gets to play a bad guy in that, so that was pretty cool to watch. Because in this one, he's basically playing he plays a goofball, basically. He's supposed to be an expert gunslinger he is an expert gunslinger. Who am I kidding? But he's a gunslinger that doesn't want to kill anybody.
That could be problematic.
It could be very much so when everybody wants you dead and you have a couple $1 million bounty on your head. What was it that they say he had? Oh, I'm trying to remember the bounty on his head. Maybe it's in the synopsis here. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, $60 billion double dollars. That's how they refer to the currency. That's how much he's worth, because he's considered a natural disaster. Which is interesting, to say the least. He is basically, nobody's ever really technically seen him in real life. So basically, everybody who hunts this Vash the Stampede, they only go off of what rumors are, like you would in like an old Western. It's like, have you ever heard about this bandit that has a huge bounty on his head? Yeah, I hear he looks like this. It's kind of like just tall tales, like he's like 7 feet tall and built like a mountain and things like that. When actually, no, he's actually this goofball right here with a red coat. But the first part of the series, actually, when I watched the anime, the first couple of it follows not just Vash himself, but also follows two insurance agency girls by the name of Meryl and Millie, who are trying to find him so that they minimize the damage that he potentially causes. It does get a lot more serious over time, but they don't. When they see him the first couple of times, they just consider him a goofball. You know, like he's just this weird goofball, weird guy who's like likes donuts and flirts with girls way too much and is a mama's boy. They don't realize that he's actually the guy they're looking for. And that's the case with a lot of people. They don't consider him to be the actual Vash the Stampede until they actually start realizing, oh wait, this guy actually has a lot of skill. Maybe he actually is Vash the Stampede.
Interesting.
The manga is great. I have some of the volumes. I don't have all of it, and the anime itself was also really good.
See you, Tavia. Take care.
Bye, Tavia. What other animes or mangas that I really like that I could recommend to new people? Let me think. If only I could remember. There's so many that I've watched that I can't remember. Well, it doesn't have a manga, but there is another anime that happened long time ago. Cowboy Bebop.
She hasn't left her house since testing positive for the same virus that killed.
I would recommend Cowboy Bebop to people.
I have seen a few episodes of that.
Yeah. It's like space western and noir. It's good stuff. I can mainly wax nostalgic about a lot of the older shows that I used to watch growing up. Trigun was a big deal for me. I love Cowboy Bebop too, but I love Trigun more. I don't really know why, but I always had a softer spot for that one than I did for Cowboy Bebop. But Cowboy Bebop is like, if you were young and you like a teenager and you wanted to feel like an adult, you watch that. Because it's like serious adult themes and everything. It took itself, it's like actually pretty strong work of art. Good story overall. There was another one that I remembered watching when I was roughly about the same time all of these shows came out. There was one called Outlaw Star, which was that one's a pretty fun one. It's not as well known, I think, as Trigun or Cowboy Bebop is, but that's one that I could recommend to people because that one was just a good, fun, like romp story. It didn't take itself too overly serious with anything. It really did. It had some decent story plots, but it was mainly just a lot of goofball fun, and I enjoyed that. What would I recommend for like maybe? There's plenty of like shonen series out there because you could go and download Shonen Jump right now and read one of their things. Which one can I recommend? My Hero Academia is a pretty good one. Since, I mean, Eric likes superheroes, so that would probably be a pretty solid pick. Have you heard of that one, Eric?
My Hero Academia?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have you given the series a shot in its manga form?
I haven't read any of it, but I mean, I've heard a lot about it. And he's like, the only kid that doesn't have powers that inherits powers from the world's greatest hero. Yeah. But
Well, considering that, like when you have digital options out there, you can get the Shonen Jump app on your phone or on whatever device you have, and you only have to pay $2 a month, and you have access to their library. And that does include all of the current run for My Hero Academia, which is still going, along with a lot of the other old stuff that they have. Let's see. Canton Racer, sing the song. Oh, day. Let's see. Because you could read Dragon Ball. That's an old one that's been around for decades. There's another superhero manga you could read called One Punch Man.
I've heard of that.
Yep. I've read the first volume of it. It's pretty good. I think I prefer My Hero more. But One Punch is kind of fun in the sense of people complain about superheroes like Superman, who basically are kind of unbeatable in a lot of senses. They're like super uber powerful, and basically that's kind of what One Punch Man is. He's an overpowered hero. Nobody can beat him technically. He's called One Punch Man for a reason. He punches things once, they explode and die. So it's like, so how do you make a character like that interesting? And the way that they did it is, at least from the first volume, is him basically trying to feel anything at all, because he doesn't feel pain. Nothing hurts him. He is invulnerable to pretty much everything imaginable. And basically he gets to the point, well, when you first start off reading the story, he's basically bored. He's indifferent. He doesn't feel anything. He doesn't feel emotions very much. He's kind of just like, yeah, that's a thing. Like he sees like a bad guy show up. He's like, oh, hey, how are you? Punch. Okay, I'm going to go now. See you later. It's kind of a fun way to tell that story, because then he meets up with another hero. I can't remember the character's name, but the character sees him like punch this giant. I think he like defeats a monster of some sort. I can't remember which one, but he beats a monster, and he's like, I need this guy to teach me his ways. And he's like, please teach me, be my sensei. And he's like, no, I don't want to. Because he's so indifferent to everything. He doesn't want to do anything. He just kind of, because like just walking, he just wants to do stuff. Like he just wants to go walk to the grocery store, go get some food, just do every mundane thing he can, and he can't feel anything. He's kind of lost his humanity, basically, is how they treat him. It's like he doesn't really have much humanity. So he doesn't really interact with people very well, I guess. But I thought it was kind of fun.
That's an interesting premise.
Well, because that was something that I always wondered. Like, what do you do when you have characters that are overpowered and they lose and you lose interest? One Punch Man is Batman in the old Justice League book with Keith Giffen in regards to Guy Gardner. Probably. That's probably fairly accurate.
No, I said, my favorite manga, I think, is Battle Royale.
Battle Royale?
So, I trust you've read that, right?
I don't think I've actually read Battle Royale, but I've heard of it. I remember there was a live-action Japanese movie version of it, I think.
That movie is crazy.
Isn't it like a bunch of high schoolers are put into a death game?
Yeah, it's Lord of the Flies, only everybody dies, basically.
Most people died in Lord of the Flies too.
It's a classroom that is basically captured, and they put collars on them, and they send them out into the jungle to fight out, and only one is allowed to survive. And of course, there's the alliances that are made that are eventually going to have to be broken. There's the characters that are out for themselves. There's this, and there's one. Now the movie didn't get to go into depth on this, but there's 15 issues of this, and one of them, there's a couple that they're classmates, and they spend basically the entire issue reminiscing, and then at the end they just jump off the cliff together.
Oh, wow.
And it really packs an emotional punch.
I would say so, because there's a lot of things in manga that I've seen like hits emotionally. Trigun had a good few amount of those. So did Cowboy Bebop too, nearing its conclusion. I won't spoil that, but for those who haven't watched Cowboy Bebop, go watch Cowboy Bebop. Go find it on a streaming service and go watch it. Seriously.
Yeah. I think in the movie, the couple that jumped off the cliff ended up, meeting somebody else that was bound and determined to beat the game, and I think all three of them ended up surviving.
I think that I remember recently there was a new anime that came out not that long ago called Darwin's Game, and it's basically a battle royale premise, but they basically do this whole thing where it's a video game in the real world, kind of, where they give people powers. What's up, Tellium?
Just hopefully finishing off my order soon.
Okay. Cool.
Maybe I might drop out and maybe come back in.
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna go, but I may close out soon. But I am really enjoying the conversation, so who knows?
It has been good. All right. I'll see you soon then.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. But Darwin's Game kind of has a similar premise where they have basically it's like a phone app game where it looks like it's the main character like learns about it from a couple of his friends. Like one of their friends died like at the outset of the show, and then his other friend like is telling him about what's going on, kind of, and he's like, "Oh, what? It's just sounds like a harmless video game," or whatever the case may be. And then he finds out, no, it's not a harmless video game. It has some sort of strange power. Like, I don't know, maybe it's magic based or something. They haven't really fully explained how the game works, but basically a snake comes out of your phone, bites you, gives you a superpower of some kind to fight in the game. And then other players get to hunt you down and potentially kill you. I remember seeing the original Lord of the Flies black and white movie in grade school, possibly 7th or 8th grade. Dear God. I remember reading it, and that book made me physically ill.
Now, just for the record, Maranya and I, we are the same age. We were not in 7th and 8th grade or 8th grade when that came out. The movie, I think, was from 1963. So,
well, I remembered reading the book in high school, and I've bleached it from my memory. For the most part, I found it really disturbing. I mean, I don't probably now. It probably wouldn't bug me, but when I was a kid, I'm like, oh dear God, what's wrong with this writer? It's dark in so many ways, and why are you letting teenagers read this? Although, as most teenagers, they're like, yes, please let me read this. Me, I guess I had more sensitive sensibilities. I'm like, gross? No, please don't. But the Darwin's Game one was pretty interesting so far. I haven't gotten back to it in a while, but that one was relatively recent. But I liked it. I kind of like the premise of a battle royale, story. It's like everybody goes into the game and only one person comes out alive. The only difference I think in Darwin's Game is that the protagonist is trying to find out how to stop the game. He's not trying to win the game. He's like, no, I don't want people dying. This is wrong. This is messed up. I'm going to try and find the people responsible and end the game. So people don't die. Because when people die in the game, they basically explode into digital pixels and leave a digital pixel print on whatever, wherever they die. And it's like, well, I don't want that to be my friends or me or anybody for that matter. Well, I better stop this from getting worse. Obviously, other people don't have the same proclivities as he does.
Yeah, in Battle Royale, there's the obligatory person in the class that doesn't believe that it's actually happening.
Yeah.
And tries to defy it, so they activate his collar, and it doesn't end well.
Yeah. I don't think that the way that, considering that in Darwin's game, they pretty much just throw him right in, and he's like, this can't be real. This can't be legitimate. And then he gets chased by a guy in a baseball mascot uniform trying to kill him. I think it was like a teddy bear or something. I can't remember, but it's a baseball mascot costume, and he's carrying a knife. I can't remember. I think what was his power? I think his power was invisibility or something. I can't remember. But yeah, he's like, I don't want to be a part of this. This is messed up. And he didn't even know what his power was for like the first couple of episodes. He makes an alliance with a girl, or the girl tries to make a deal with him because he manages to beat the bear mascot character. And since he's a new player, she's like, okay, how did he manage that? Well, he didn't really do anything. A car ran the guy over. I guess it counts. But he didn't know what his power was. Turns out his power is to transport weapons or create weapons that he comes in contact with. And it's like, okay, that's kind of a cool power. But that was a fun show.
Now, was that live action or anime?
That's an anime.
Okay.
That's anime. I don't know very many live action Japanese movies or anything unless it's Kamen Rider or the Super Sentai stuff. That stuff I know, at least to some extent. And that's a whole other topic for probably another stream. I mean, Power Rangers was my jam growing up at the age of 12, so been watching that ever since I was that age. And then once I found out, hey, there's actually a completely other version of it in Japan where this show actually originates from. It's called Super Sentai, and also its predecessor called Kamen Rider. And I was like,
I used to watch Oz Chris's reviews on those.
Yeah. He was reviewing some of the most recent shows. So those are pretty fun. I haven't had much opportunity to go back and watch a lot of that. The last one that I was watching, because I found out that there's that places like what is that company called? What is it called? Shout Factory. They do a lot of they have Mystery Science Theater 3000 and a lot of older movies and older B movies, sci-fi and whatnot. They own the license to things like Power Rangers, at least they used to. But they also release things like the Super Sentais on DVD. And now they have this, there's this free app called Pluto TV that they now have. It basically runs like normal television, and now has its own. They have a channel dedicated where they rerun old Sentais and other assorted things. Let me see if I can find it. But okay, where is it? I know it's here. I was here not that long ago. You can't hide from me. I know you're there. If I can find it, it's really hard to find it.
This one is the car house.
Are you?
Gertrude and William
Oh wait, you're in Tech and Geek, aren't you? Yes, you are.
He was a doctor in town.
Yeah. Tokushatsu.
4 bedrooms, 3 baths. They're asking.
What are they showing right now?
before renovation, we're at $50 a square foot.
Which is awesome for the street.
I can't even tell what this is.
The curb appeal needs some TLC.
Ah,
It's like the sore thumb on the street.
This one was done
oh,
in the 50s.
I think what they're showing right now,
It was all done in the 20s.
I'm not sure, but you can probably kind of see it.
To bring it back into the.
This looks like old Japanese.
I have ideas though.
Toku. I think they're showing one of the Ultraman series. I can't tell which one because it's not showing up on the feed. You know, like kind of like on TV cable program where it shows you like what's coming up. I can't see it. But a while back, about a week or so ago, I was watching Jetman, which was the Sentai before the one that the Power Rangers is based off of. So I watched that.
Not familiar with Jetman.
Jetman was I don't really know very much about it. I was watching some of the episodes. It seems like the team is part of a defense force, or they join a defense force that are, I guess, they're based on birds and jets at the same time. All of them are named after birds. Like, let's see. The red one is an eagle, I think. Yes, I think he's an eagle. Black is a condor. Yellow is an owl. Blue and is it what? Yeah, I think she's white. She's not pink. She's based off a crane, and the other one, the blue one, is based. She's I think like a sparrow or smaller bird. It was a pretty good few episodes I was watching. Mainly, I was just watching the first couple ones. Was just the Red Ranger and the Black Ranger not getting along, and he's like, "You need to work with the team. We need to work together to stop the bad guy." The black guy's like, "No, I don't want to. I don't like you. Go away. Leave me alone." But there was a lot of that going on. But it seemed like a really good show. I just haven't had an opportunity really to watch it all the way through. And before that, they were airing the original Kamen Rider, the very first one from the 1960s.
Oh, wow.
Very first Kamen Rider. I didn't really get very much of an opportunity to watch very much of it, but I think it was like the first episode. Watched a bit of that. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Now Kamen Rider now has a legal streaming service. Shout Factory, could you please bring more of that and make sure that you're releasing it on DVD, please? Because I'd much rather watch it on DVD than watching it via this particular type of format of streaming, because you would basically have to sit down and binge watch all of it as it's airing, and not easy to do if you're on a schedule like mine and you want to like, hey, I want to watch Jetman. I could always go and buy Jetman though, because they already released that one out on DVD. But with Kamen Rider, hey, I want to watch the original Kamen Rider. Release it on DVD. Actually, hold on, maybe I'm gonna go check Shout Factory right now and see if they have Kamen Rider on DVD. Considering that they obviously got the license to stream it, maybe they have plans to release it.
We could make it a nice closet.
Shout Factory.
Very nice, Jim. Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab something. I'm going to show you if I can find it.
Please do.
I want to talk about the bathroom. We could make it a huge master bath. We would put a freestanding bathtub here, a double vanity.
So how's chat going? They are the real Power Rangers. You are right, Timothy. Timote. You're absolutely right. They are the real Power Rangers. They are the originals. They're the ones that, Power Rangers came from.
257, 2,800 square feet, $92 a square foot.
Oh, work.
You said you wanted us to stay under 100, and we're trying to stay under 95.
That's great.
And the next house also stays.
I don't see any results for Kamen Rider. Well, that's kind of disappointing.
We want to talk about the Grubs house.
Hey, that is green.
The Last Heart. Man. Okay, what's that? What about their Super Sentai?
Conversation sets, tableware. Brought to you by Wayfair. Our homes. Overnight, they became our offices, schools, and playgrounds. All those places out there are now in here. That's why we're still offering fast, free 2-day shipping.
Okay, so we've got
even the big stuff.
Zoo Ranger.
Everything it takes to ensure your safety, so you can make your home.
What is the earliest one they have now?
Wayfair, way more than Bargain.
Oh, okay.
My time is
Let's see. What are the Sentais that they have available? Maybe I'll share that with Eric later. So how's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody is chilling and relaxing.
Everything you need for spring at Scotts.com. Order today.
You know, the one thing that's really great is I actually really enjoy sharing my interests with other people. Like sharing my love of things like anime, manga, comics, and whatnot. But I mean, most of you guys who are here, you guys already have like extensive history with comic books, so it's fun for me to get to share, you know, other parts of my hobbies that, you know, that you guys don't know about or that you maybe are new to. And if that means I get to,
Okay, I didn't think this through.
what were you thinking, Eric?
Say, give me a second here. I thought I had. No. Oh, wow. Here's a live action Tekken.
You'll get no argument from me. I think my brother is a big fan of Tekken, so.
Oh, I remember. No. I thought I had a Kamen Rider, but because a customer of our, well, someone knew, one of our customers knew somebody that was really big into Japanese movies and anime and mangas or anime, and Bollywood. But when he passed, we got all of his stuff, and he had hundreds of Japanese movies and and some anime, like he had live action Gantz.
Yeah.
But I remember I was debating whether or not to take the Kamen Rider, and the next customer that saw it went nuts over it, so I sold it to him. But that's what I was looking for, and that explains why I didn't find it.
Yeah.
Oh well, that was a whole lot of the anticipation exceeding the actual event.
So it was a Kamen Rider movie, or
I think it was. It's weird. I was actually, as I was going through them, I was DMing Oz Chris and saying, "Hey, is this any good? Is this any good?"
Well, if you ask Oz Chris, he'll probably tell you what to watch and what not to. I mean, I'm kind of new to it too. I haven't gotten a chance to watch everything. I know the history pretty well because I actually took the time to learn about it. I now know most of the shows by name. Have I watched all of them? No. I know what they are. I have basic, I know synopsises, I know premises. But do I know all the plot details, all the stories? Absolutely not. The one I probably know the least about is Ultraman, because I'm not really overtly interested in the character. But I'll probably get into that at some point. Oh, but at my local Walmart, they were selling a couple of the live action Ultraman movies. that Funimation now got licensing rights to. So that was kind of interesting. Like,
I think that goes all the way back to the 60s, if I'm not mistaken.
yes, it does. I think it might. I don't know if it's older than Kamen Rider, but it might be because Godzilla is older than Kamen Rider is.
Yeah, that was 54.
Yeah, because that's the very first tokusatsu based anything that I can think of in Japanese, film history.
Now, I trust you've seen the original Gojira, right?
I think I remembered watching the American version ages ago when I was a little kid, and I remember really liking it because it's a giant dinosaur-like monster wrecking a city.
Yeah, it's pretty much the Japanese version. They added some scenes with Raymond Burr.
Yeah. I saw the American version. I didn't see the Japanese one. I recently picked up. I found it in like a cheap bin at a local Fred Meyer's, local Kroger affiliated group, and it was the American version of King Kong versus Godzilla. I have that.
So King Kong wins in your version.
Yes, I believe so.
Because in the Japanese release, Godzilla is the one that comes out at the end. And...
Yeah. But I also at my local Walmart they had the Toho collection for the Godzilla movies. It doesn't have all the movies, but it has a good amount of the old Godzilla movies from like probably late 80s to like the early 2000s. Something like that. And it has a bunch of the movies in it. I'm like, I'm going to get to them. Oh, I also picked up Shin Godzilla too, which should be fun. I just haven't had any time really. I need to pick a day to like just sit down and maybe watch one of them at a time. But I love watching Godzilla movies. I mean, I liked the 2015 Godzilla movie. I like it. It's pretty good. I don't like it as much because there wasn't enough Godzilla. And then the King of All Monsters came out. And then everybody complained and did the complete polar opposite because the original complaints were there's too many people talking and not enough Godzilla. And then we get a whole bunch of Godzilla fighting monsters and it's like, no, there's too much Godzilla. I'm like, make up your mind. What do you want? I mean, I wanted more Godzilla and I got more Godzilla and him fighting every other monster on the planet practically.
Now, I saw a bunch of the Godzilla movies when I was younger. The one I remember best probably is Godzilla versus the Smog Monster.
No, I don't think that one's in the collection.
And probably for good reason.
Yeah,
it was very much propaganda.
Oh,
but it was it was made in 1971. It was at the height of the pollution craze. So the Smog Monster was literally he fought pollution.
Well, it's not like Godzilla. Godzilla's an allegory for the nuclear fallout of Japan's reactors and whatnot, and the nuclear bombs. So
yeah,
it's not like he wasn't already involved in some form of propaganda.
And there was these this band at a club, and they were singing a song called. It was just like stop pollution, save the earth, stop pollution. But it was fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It might be stupid propaganda, but sometimes stupid propaganda can be fun. I mean, I watched Captain Planet as a kid. Come on. And what is that if not giant propaganda of stop pollution? It's very on the nose. It's not trying to hide what it's talking.
But they really thought that in 50 years ago, they thought that pollution was they thought we were all gonna be dead by 1980.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I remember like Al Gore talking about, oh, hey, look, here's Mount Kilimanjaro. Its ice caps are going to be completely melted by like 2016. And 2016 rolls around. Oh, hey, look, it has a full snowy mountain on top. Well,
Good thing I already bought that jet.
Yeah, good thing. It's like, well, you're polluting it too with your private jet, my friend. Timothée saying, I was watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the series became a mess, trying so hard to keep the Zoo Ranger costumes and settings. Yes, they tried really hard, but hey, those costumes are iconic to pop culture and are very highly marketable. So I can understand why they tried to hold on to them as long as possible. But it does become a mess when it's very clear, like, oh, hey, you're using footage from other shows now. You might want to try and start changing the costumes and whatnot. But you didn't want to do that. You wanted to keep those classic looking costumes, which, I mean, hey, I can't blame you. So I do like the original costumes too. So, but
Imranya's right. So they did get rid of the lead and paint and gas, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, but I couldn't find Kamen Rider on Shout Factory, unfortunately. So I guess they don't have a DVD release set yet. But I wanted to know how far along they were with releasing the Sentai shows. This is the one that the first Power Ranger series is based off of. The Super Sentai Zyuranger. Which my brother has on DVD, actually. So I could watch that whenever I want. But what else we got?
I wonder how many... Japan has another burgeoning film industry. So I wonder how many versions are out there where the S is an H.
I don't know.
The second one.
The second.
Yeah, if you the second word, if you change the S to an H.
Oh.
There's some out there.
There probably is. I wouldn't be surprised. Japan does like its kinky stuff.
Well, I'll tell you. Do you know who Hideki Matsui is?
Yes, vaguely. I'm trying to remember.
He was the Japanese player that came over a few years after Ichiro and was signed by the Yankees.
Oh, yeah. I thought I recognized the name. Yeah.
At his press conference, the Japanese reporters asked him as many questions about his 55,000 piece porno collection than about baseball, because apparently there's no stigma attached over there.
No, there really isn't. They do not care. They do not care. I mean, there's so many shows where incest becomes a talking point or a topic. Plenty of show I've either watched a show or two, or I've heard about shows where the brother and sister have romantic feelings towards one another, and it's like, ugh. But they exist. They're out there. Yep. I think the funniest one that I remembered watching was, well, it wasn't really funny, but I remembered watching the anime called Sword Art Online. And the main character named Kirito has a cousin who they basically were raised as siblings. It's like, you're still related by blood, but she obviously has a major crush on you, dude. And it's like, creepy and weird, but it's okay. He's not interested in any of the other women anyway in his harem. He only cares about his main squeeze, Asuna. So, hey, at least he's a one-woman kind of man. He's classy that way, He has a little bit of class because he tends to ignore everybody else. Although it's very obvious that everybody else wants a piece of him. But he's like, no, I'm actually married to this woman. We got married in the video game. So as far as I'm concerned, we are a legitimate couple.
That's always been a fascinating always of anime and manga, the harem animes.
Oh, yeah. Those are always funny.
Yeah, because surrounded by women or girls that keep hitting on him and never getting anywhere with any of them.
It's either that or it's the complete polar opposite, where they beat the ever-loving crap out of him because they think he's a pervert.
and a lot of times they're the same ones.
Yeah, normally both. Normally it's obvious that they want him, but also at the same time, it's like, he's a pervert because he's getting into these situations where he's accidentally seeing you naked or accidentally running into you.
Yeah, because no one closes the door in the shower and those things.
You want to know what's actually funny? My favorite harem show that I used to watch, actually, because I actually used to watch this, was a show called Tenchi Muyo.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, that was the hair. That was like probably my first introduction to what a harem is in an anime format. And it's probably the most tame you'll ever find too, because a lot of the ones in more recent years are a bit more lewd now than they ever were. But Tenchi Muyo didn't really get that lewd from what I remember watching. It was just all of the girls kind of just show up. I'm trying to remember which one I watched the most. I think it was Tenchi Universe, because he had so many different versions of the show. But I think the Tenchi Universe one was the one I remember watching the most. A space princess comes to Earth along with a space pirate and end up living at his house. And it turns out that his family is actually from a long line of alien royalty, I guess. But also he ends up meeting with space cops, a professor from outer space. Hilarity ensues. It was a fun show. I did enjoy watching that way back in the day.
I saw a couple episodes of something called Love Hina or Hina or how you pronounce that.
Yeah, that's another.
That was very wholesome, for what it was. As wholesome as those get. I mean, there wasn't any actual nudity or sex or anything like that. I mean, it was.
Yeah. Well, normally the character doesn't get any of that anyway, so
nobody did on the side either. So I mean, there's
exactly.
But
you may be seeing a girl naked, but you're not going to be getting any action.
And there's another one.
That's what the off-brand is for.
How about Great Teacher Onizuka? Have you ever seen that or read that?
I watched that show. Actually, here's a funny story. Way back, the first official comic book shop we actually had in my area here was called Amazing Stories. And the guy who ended up owning and running it, he also created a DVD rental service. And he had like old superhero movies, old like really like some of the more lesser known like horror films and stuff like that, whatever you might be interested in, and a massive anime collection. A lot of the shows that were much older. So my brother was interested in watching Great Teacher Onizuka, so he rented all of those, and me and him watched them. It was great. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen for its time period. And Vulgar comes to mind, because it is a more mature show. So like, there's actually cuss words involved and whatnot, from what I remember. But that was a great show. That was awesome. I would love to watch it again, but it's been a long time. I'm pretty sure that one of the streaming services has it, but I haven't looked for it in a long time.
Yeah, because I know there's an anime series and a live action series, or at least a live action movie.
Yeah, there was live action movies. They did get rid of my eyes and ears. What happened?
That when we were talking about harem anime.
Oh, normally it involves getting knocked the hell out. Punch, fly through the air, literally right out of the
mouth wide open and the blood coming out of the nose.
Well, normally the blood comes out of the nose before that. Oh,
oh, that's right. Yeah, whenever he sees the naked girl. Ah!
That's basically, well, it's the equivalency of what. Since you can't really show that in anime, they show it in the nose bleeding variety.
Well, I have no idea what you could be referring to.
Nothing at all. It's nothing but wholesome, I promise. Most anime involve romance. Is usually about the friends you make along the way, especially in harems. Yeah, it's more or less making friendships with the girls than actually romantic involvement. Some of them do involve romance, but like one of the shows my brother really loved was a show called Oh My Goddess. That one It's a bit of a harem, but not really that much because it's more or less just a romance between the main character and the goddess, the first goddess.
Check this out. Belle Dandy.
Yeah, Belle Dandy. Yeah. So you've watched that. You've seen that. There you go.
I used to read that. You know, I've read several volumes of that.
It's a great manga. It's a great.
It was very entertaining.
Yep, I always enjoyed it.
And she had the other goddess who was the femme fatale.
Yeah.
You know, they were fighting over the guy.
Yeah, and I think there was a younger one too. There was 3 goddesses, if I remember correctly.
There was. That's right.
3. But obviously, he only really had his heart set on Belle Dandy.
And of course, the bad girl wasn't all the way bad, of course, because you have to have some redeeming qualities in all of them. And that was. I never knew what the difference between "Ah My Goddess" and "Oh My Goddess" was, or if there even was a difference. But
there might be. I think it might be like sequel. I don't know, or was it a repeat?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I'm not sure myself, because all I remember is "Oh My Goddess." So,
I mean, I was big time into this for several years. I mean, I probably had 500 or 600 mangas, and probably 700 or 800 anime DVDs and VHSs. I'll tell you how far back that was. In fact, a couple of volumes of my GTO are VHS.
Yeah.
So if I ever did decide to play them, I've got one working VHS player that's on its last legs. So I mean, I don't even know if you can get one anymore.
I mean, I have a DVD VHS combo that my mom bought a few years back. You could probably buy one of those. You'd probably be able to find that. That'd probably be your best bet.
That'd be a good idea because when for a couple of years I was recording hundreds of movies off a Turner Classic that never made it to DVD, and I'd like to maybe watch some of those someday. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure you could probably find that out there somewhere. Probably look on Amazon. There might be a decent deal on an older model DVD/VHS player. Most of our collection now is purely DVD now, so. But we do still have a couple of old VHS tapes kind of hanging around.
Now, Maranya, I can still feign ignorance because my knowledge, I truly have forgotten more than I remember.
Well, I mean, Eric probably, if he came from like a similar, well, let's see, if he's watching, oh my gosh, he's probably was interested in it like in the probably late 90s, early 2000s era.
Yeah, early 2000s.
That would probably be where the bulk of your knowledge and information would come from.
Well, where it was when I had some.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, because that would be the bulk of some of my old knowledge. So
yeah, I tended to shy away from all of the really big ones. Like I never saw Gundam or was it Neon Evangelion?
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah, Genesis.
Don't worry, you're not alone. You're in good company. I haven't watched it either.
And I mean, I've never seen any Dragon Ball Z or anything like that. I mean, I like the horror stuff a lot. When I was watching, and I was like one extreme to the other. It was like the horror stuff. And then the other side of it, the all ages, just really fun, cute stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you're interested in horror, I don't know a whole lot of horror animes anymore. One that my brother would probably recommend, it's more like a psychological thriller, though, would be Serial Experiment Lane.
I had a couple of the mangas.
Yeah, that's a trip. That is one hell of a trip. Do I like Neon Genesis Evangelion? I've never watched it. I can't tell you if I like it or not.
I know that guy. He was here.
Yeah, who's that guy? Neon Genesis Evangelion is now on Netflix. That's probably the only way you're probably going to be able to watch it, unless you're sailing the 7 seas. I know people were complaining about the dub of the new one, but I honestly couldn't care less. I just want to watch the story and find out what happens when I have some free time. I know that one of the things that I've heard about the show was the creator is a bit pretentious with like his themes and his analogies and things of that nature. At least from what I've heard, his show Neon Genesis can get a bit pretentious in some of its ideology, but still might be a fun show to watch. That has some pretty horrific horror stuff going on in it all on its own.
Have you ever read or seen any of the Tomies?
Tomies? I can't say I even know what that is.
It's oh god, it's like a girl that is a monster of some kind. It's been a long time. I was hoping you'd be able to remind me of what I'd forgotten. And it's a guy that does all kinds of really creepy horror, like Uzumaki and shit like that.
Oh, I know who you're referring to. I can't remember his name, but he does a lot of like short story horror mangas.
Yeah.
I know who you're referring to. He does a lot of those, and they're a trip to look at, to say the least. I've never read any of them because one, I'm not big into horror to begin with. And his stuff terrifies me. I think that if you were to read it, or if they were to do animated versions of it, I'm pretty sure it would fuel many nightmares for a long time.
There's like 5 or 6 live action Tomy movies, and I have them. Can't remember if I've ever watched them though.
Yeah, you might have, but forgotten. I could guess it would be kind of horror like, was The Guyver.
I remember that.
Yeah, there was a live action movie version of it. There were 2 of them that were released stateside called The Guy, or one was called The Guyver, and then the other one was Guyver Dark Beginning or something dark. I can't remember what the sequel was called. But the first one had Mark Hamill in it.
Really?
Yes, as a detective. He was actually a secondary character. But the first one, I actually have the first one, Guyver. It's campy as hell, by the way. It's a campy, like, early 90s, like, superhero kind of movie. With the horror elements of the Guyver included. But, well, I mean, since we were referring to, like, Kamen Rider and whatnot earlier, we're talking about characters that transform into their hero forms. That's basically what Guyver is, but far darker and a lot more blood and some really nasty looking monsters and creatures. Considering that,
kind of remember that.
Give me a second. Let me. They did kind of a reboot. Oh, there's an old anime that I remember watching way back in the day, The Big O. That's a good one.
I can remember the theme. Big O, Big O, Big O, Big O. I've seen some of those.
Yeah. That's like just beautiful stuff. Because that was back in the early 2000s. I like the whole premise and concept of a negotiator who, hey, if negotiations fail, hey, get in a giant robot and kick the ever-loving crap out of the other giant robot. Good stuff. Good fun stuff. Hold on a second. Let me share screen real quick, and I will show what the Guyver is. There we go. The Guyver, or this one's called Guyver, the Bio-Boosted Arm. This was the 2006 version, because the last Guyver series that they did was in like 1984, I think, and it was just a short OVA series. But this was an actual kind of like full-blown series with like 26 episodes, I think. What was it? Was it 26? It adapted chapters 1 to 60, volumes 1 through 10 of the manga. 1989 was the original.
Yeah, Mariah's seen the Guyver movie you were talking about.
Yeah, that's probably what. When I mentioned the Guyver, that's probably what most people would probably think of. Set pictures of the Guyver himself.
This other one sits over down inside of it.
Well, aside from the one picture that we're seeing from the show. Let's go back to Guyver.
With so many nourishing shades, a color change.
Let's go back to standard desk and then go to images.
It nourishes
Like
avocado, olive, and shea. Change a little or a lot.
this.
Nourished hair, better color by Garnier Naturally.
Right now, get free delivery.
Um,
The delivery you can tell in every restaurant. Real food.
can you see this, Eric?
Mm-hmm.
That's the Guyver.
Personalized just for you.
It's an alien suit. This was basically it's about a teenage boy who comes across an alien armor that was brought to Earth by an alien group race called the Zoonoids, who have they kind of invaded Earth and have taken on. They've created their own company called Kronos, and they're basically trying to take over humanity by turning them all into monsters. And basically, this young boy has to fight those monsters. And there's like 3 of the armors, and the Kronos Corporation wants the armor because it has the potential, basically, to turn anybody into a weapon or a living weapon. This particular series that I have on DVD, which is like 26 episodes, the ending is a bit weird because it kind of just cuts off, but the series itself is dark, it's crazy, it's messed up, it's bloody and gory, to say the least, because there is some blood, there is some gore, because we're talking like, as you can kind of see in this picture, you can see that the suit has this like massive blade right here. You can guess what that's used for. And like literally like the ripping and tearing of enemies. And also chest lasers and other assorted powers. But this was the more recent adaptation of the show. This was the original OVAs from '84. Could definitely tell because of the older art style. But this was a good series. I really like this. I've never really gotten a chance to read the manga version, but definitely some messed up things, but cool.
See, since this will prove I can feign ignorance and not be feigning. I don't even remember what OVA stands for.
OVA is original video anime. I don't know. I can't even remember what it means. It's basically kind of shorthand for a short series. Like you couldn't fund a full-blown like 26 episode season. So a lot of series are limited to short series. Like they condensed all the content to like a manageable, like maybe 6 or 12 episodes.
Okay.
Or maybe like you remember when I was showing those Gundam series, like that one that was only 6 episodes long. There's a lot of those like between like the early 90s and 2000s. And even before then, basically, if the property wasn't well known enough or they didn't have enough funding or money to make a full series, basically they just did short series to help promote the mangas. Because that's kind of how the Japanese media does it, is that you can watch the anime and the anime helps promote the manga.
Okay,
kind of wish we could do that here.
Tahilym just typed in original animation, but what's the V?
Original video animation?
I guess I guess that would be as good a guess as any.
You remember bits and pieces of the Guyver movie with Mark Hamill. Overland vehicular armor. Yeah, that's exactly what it means. Oh, Tahilym's back. I didn't even realize he was back. I'm sorry. Welcome back.
Thanking you.
Of course.
All right. Well, things are getting on. Oh, things are on the last things now in regards to processing the order. So I thought I'd be able to come back and complete where we left off from.
Yeah. Totally okay with that. But yeah, this was the Guyver. I like that there were 3 suits of armor. But
Yeah, it was OVA, original video animation.
Original video animation. That's what.
Yeah,
that's what
so
I thought.
I remember seeing that first one that you brought up in relation to
Guyver,
that first series. It actually had 12 episodes to the series of what was available here in Australia, and I loved it.
The original OVA.
When the series came out here to Australia of the OVA, I think each VHS video cassette volume had at least 4 episodes.
Yeah. Okay.
And it went as far as, say, episode 12, and that's all we had available here in Australia.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the main character. Yeah, he even had a love interest, which was neither here or there. I enjoyed, what was it? One of the teacher who he knew in school also had a connection to these Zoonoids.
The Zoonoids, yeah.
That was really good. That was really cool. And it was like an unexpected twist that you had no idea about.
Yeah. I don't think that was in the oh wait, no. Was it in the I don't know if it was in the 2006 series. That one's
They
a bit,
might have changed it in the 2006.
yeah. I mean, for nostalgic purposes, to remind Maranya what Guyver looked like in the live-action American movie, there you go.
Hey, Knight, are you going to keep this going for a little while longer?
I actually should probably stop because it's almost 10 o'clock.
So
Why, what's up?
it's 10 where you are?
Almost, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were 3 hours behind.
I am. I should be.
Yeah, it's
3 hours behind England team.
Yeah, it's 10:44 here, so it's
Well, wait, so what? There's only an hour difference between us?
no. I said isn't it 7:44 where you are?
Well, maybe this clock is wrong. Hold on a sec. Let me check my phone. Maybe that'll give me a clearer. Oh wait, you're right. This clock is wrong. 7:45. What the hell?
Next, I was gonna say, I said I'm really enjoying this, but I gotta grab something to eat before I starve to death.
Yeah,
So if you're
I need to go too, actually.
Okay.
So I do appreciate everybody hanging out, though. We'll probably do this again sometime. We'll just hang out and we'll chat.
Yeah, this was fun.
Sounds good.
I enjoy doing this. So, yeah. So, thanks everybody for watching. I'll see if I can do this more frequently if my brother will allow it. I mean, this is his laptop, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. I still need to work on. I'm waiting for my tax money, basically, so I can find all the parts for the computer.
Well, you're just being the good, respectable brother, so that's understandable.
Well, here's the thing. My brother can get testy if I keep his things too long. Which is understandable.
Yeah.
I asked to borrow something. Normally, I get a what? That's normally the response. It's like, oh, fine. Unless he actually hands it to me and he's like, here, man, go enjoy. Which he does that sometimes. More often than not, I get the fine, whatever. Normally, probably because I go into his room and I'm bothering him. Wasting something. Like his wife show.
Older or younger?
He's the younger brother. I'm the older one. I'm 2 years older than him. 2 years and 3 months older. We're not that far apart, so our interests kind of align, and we're roughly about the same age, so we get along pretty well.
That's cool.
But I mean, recently he bought a whole bunch of older anime. Maybe Eric knows this one. I'll close off with this one. Maybe other people might know this. A series called You're Under Arrest.
I remember that.
Yeah, he's got all the old DVD volumes now, and he let me borrow them because he watched through all of them already. So I haven't gotten back to watch all of it. But I remembered watching the series.
So instead of getting the hand-me-downs, you're getting the hand-me-ups.
Well, he's not letting me. Let's be clear. He's not letting me own it. He's letting me borrow it. Because I never watched through the whole series either. So. Anyway, I hope everybody has a good night.
You too. So thanks for having me on tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks to Hellion for joining too.
And thank you.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the stream.
Yep, I had fun too. Good night, audience.
See ya.
Yeah, good night, Maranya.
Good night, Maranya, and anybody else who might be there.